Shields up, Iron Breakers, and welcome to another episode of Kast. I have a very special guest with us today. I have SDShepard. Shepard, how are you doing, sir?
Great. Feeling a little under the weather. There's some allergies in the air, but otherwise I'm happy to be here.
Dude, my kid has been suffering from allergies this year. Like, his eyes swallowed up, like puffed up like balloons. Okay, I showed it to because this happened like on a Sunday, so I couldn't get him like to the doctor. So
Going
I showed
Pookie style.
Yeah, exactly like Pookie. I showed it to like the person at the pharmacy, and she just went like, "Oh my God, what is that?" I was like, yeah, that's
Pulls out her
son.
phone, starts Googling Monster Hunter World. What's that Venom guy with a long tongue?
But yeah, the allergies.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Absolutely
That's
crazy.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough.
He'll pull through. He's a tough one. I'm sure he'll make it through. So this is our second podcast together, but the first podcast unfortunately turned into some kind of anti-Sony rant by Gaijin.
It was a therapy session for Gaijin Hunter. He was working through a lot of past trauma with his PlayStation 4. I think it was a PS4 Pro. So
you still
I don't know if he feels better
console?
now. Yeah. No, it's an interesting, it's like a fun fact. Like he played a lot of Monster Hunter World on an Xbox. That's interesting. I did too. I did a lot of my speedruns on the Xbox, the Xbox One X, because the loading times were generally better. Yeah. And it was on its own console leaderboard. There's been a big issue, and I'm sure it could be a topic at any point about cheating in Monster Hunter. And I think we were talking, the podcast we were on at the same time 2 years ago, that was around the release of Rise and Turbogate. Now it's right around the release of Wilds, and there's Arena Gate. So, I mean, we can go all day long if you want.
We should bring up the cheating at some point. But for people that might not be aware of who Shepard is, because the podcast was actually not 2 years ago. It was 3 years ago.
Sorry, 3 years ago. Time dilation.
It was a very long time. I was actually surprised because I was looking up that podcast yesterday. But Shepard is one of the OG Monster Hunter content creators. Some of you guys might not be aware of this, but Shepard actually was an inspiration for Gaijin Hunter to get started with video stuff and doing guides and stuff like that, which was an interesting little factoid because I was like rewatching portions of the podcast yesterday because I was like, oh, let me see some of the stuff that we went over so that we don't have to tread over the same ground. But that was still surprising to me hearing it like 3 years afterwards. Damn, that's friggin' crazy.
Pure times when we were making guides in the beginning. You just did it for the love of the game, and you still should, but obviously people make a living now off of content creation, which 12 years ago, I mean, there was nothing like it.
No idea what you're talking about. What do you mean? Making a living off of content creation? No, dude, no. But yeah, that's definitely something that is going on now, which is actually something that you always end up looking into in terms of like algorithm and stuff like that. You always end up getting kind of lost in the sauce with that type of stuff because you just see so many videos about so many different topics, and it's so easy nowadays to just go on YouTube and it's like, this thing was a wake-up call, or it got worse, or it's like, it's just these type of titles just keep coming up in content creation. It's absolutely insane.
We're in for dark times. They're saying the OnlyFans like bellwether has been triggered. OnlyFans tips and subscriptions are way down, so it could be tough times. I don't know. I don't know if it's a true sign of the recession or not. But when people stop, sponsoring that, I mean, the rest of us, we got to be careful.
Yeah, because that right there is like your essential content. like, you need some of that
daily.
In your life.
I mean, it goes, rent, food, water, electricity, OnlyFans, cell phone bill. I mean, there is a priority to these things.
There's a hierarchy list of things that you need. And if OnlyFans is starting to see the weather shift, it's only a matter of time before stuff starts going bad for us here on YouTube. But you also do a lot of stuff on Twitch. As a matter of fact, I think most of your content's on Twitch, and then you just kind of repurpose stuff, put it up on YouTube. But I've seen some of the stuff that you've worked on for Wilds, and there's one comment that I've seen like repeated on some of your videos, and I need to ask you about this. What's this whole thing about retired?
I mean, it was a little bit of a joke, and it still is a little bit of a joke, but at the same time, it's more or less true. It's a mindset, and I'm trying to get everything set up in my own life so I can just make content that is good and pure again. I mean, like you said, you could spend 12, 18 hours a day spinning your wheels, figuring out the whole content creation grind and the algorithm and alpha beta testing and stuff like that. But I think, going back, resetting yourself and saying, I'm just going to make content for the things that I'm passionate about, I think is not only good for you as a creator, I think it's good for your audience too. I mean, there are creators out there that will release, 5, 10 videos a day, trying to hit every single market possible. And if you need that to pay the bills, like, I am not against it. You got to do what you need to do.
Got to do what you got to do.
But I think for me, for the most part, I'm just focusing on creating content that I think will be high quality. And if I enjoy making it, I'm assuming other people will enjoy making it. So I'm at that point. I'm at that midlife point where I'm just thinking like, let's focus on almost the basics. Like you said, like, 13, whatever it was, 15 years ago, when Gaijin Hunter and I were kind of doing our early things, there was not even a thought about really doing it as a living. You just did it because you loved it. And
you just did it because you wanted more people to jump into the game. Because that's kind of like the same mentality that I went into when it came to Dark Souls. Because the same way that you guys were doing that type of stuff for Monster Hunter, I was doing it for Dark Souls because I don't know how to read Japanese. I don't know how to interpret the hieroglyphs in a way to make it work for Monster Hunter. So I was like, I'm not even touching this. But Dark Souls, I was like, I can get people into Dark Souls 100%. I can teach people to like put down their shield. Okay, like, listen, just put down your shield and then your stamina recovers faster. Like, this is something that is very easy to teach somebody to do, and they'll have a much better time. And so, you did it because of that, not really expecting to earn a living off of it or anything. But yeah, pure times, like you said.
Yeah.
But I figured one of the things that we could start as, last time we talked about Rise, we were at that point where Rise was going through the title update cycle and all of that good stuff, and we were talking about base Rise and whatnot. Now we're in base Wilds, but I wanted to take us back a little bit because now we've had World and Iceborne and Rise and Sunbreak. And I kind of feel like during the days of Rise and Sunbreak, there was a little bit of animosity with a lot of people that wanted a more world-like experience. And they ended up being like, Rise bad, Sunbreak bad, and World Iceborne good. Like, where do you kind of land with that? What was your experience with that over the duration of Rise and Sunbreak?
Sure. So, I mean, to talk about that, you got to kind of go back just one step and talk about like, why was World good at the time that it was? And so not even counting, obviously it was on a console, there was there wasn't cross multiplayer, but people could more easily play together compared to the 3DS. The graphics were good. Those things were great, but the more of a live service sort of style that World did was you were constantly getting new monsters, right? So within the first 4-ish months, we had Devil Joe, we had Kolv, and then in pretty rapid succession, we also had the festivals, we had Luna, you had arch-tempered monsters. And I think the way that World was balanced was even if you had played a lot of Monster Hunter before, the difficulty there was there for a lot of the ATs. Obviously, with the whole way Kolv is structured, there's difficulty there. And then it's not just difficulty. Obviously, you want the game to feel good. You want to feel like you have a challenge. But this game and many, many others, you want to feel like you're getting a little bit of something in return, that sort of progression. So even if the game was easy, there was always almost something to do in base World. You had your tempered stones, you had deco grinding, and I know that was very controversial, especially if you played a lot of Lance and Gunlance. I know somebody who only made Gunlance. It was 500 hours. I don't think they had gotten a single artillery deco. Not one. So there was a frustration there. But as a Gunlance player, you're constantly seeking that sort of thrill of being able to fill out your gear. I think that was pretty nice.
For me, it was Magazine. Magazine was my
it's a big one.
I wasn't able to get.
Yeah, that's a big one. No, it's nice being able to free up your gear. The sin of Rise, base Rise, was the game's released in a tough time. So, like, I think we could all forgive it for not having quite as much content in launch as we may have wanted otherwise. But even as we went through the base Rise title updates, they were giving us hazard monsters, super strong Apex monsters that didn't really give anything unique. So we weren't getting new armor to play around with. we rarely, if ever, got a new weapon. I think we got a USJ longsword or something, USJ armor set. And even then, like, that was one thing that was kind of okay for the entirety of it. So build diversity was very limited in Rise. You go to Sunbreak, and I don't think we've had any chance to talk about Sunbreak at all. And I'm a very, very, very vocal hater of Rise and Sunbreak. But I will say one thing.
Oh, damn. Okay.
One of the best gun lances in the series, absolutely the most fun thing you could do in Rise and especially Sunbreak, is all of the different movement options it gave. But the issue, especially as we get into Sunbreak, is they kept just increasing the amount of grind, and the way that quest system was designed. You wanted to find something like a 2-player Seething Basil quest with like 1 cart in 20 minutes. And because you just wanted to get to the end, and this was very unhealthy, it's terrible, you just kept fighting that one monster over and over again. And again, a lot of times the rewards, once you were into it, once you made the gear, was just seeing like little bits of damage go up. And then you had layered weapons, so your weapon wasn't even unique. They gave us a lot of fun skills to play around with. I will give that to Sunbreak. It has among the highest build diversity. But again, they give us so many skills, just felt like a little bit sloppish. You know, it was like, how, can I just get a little bit of everything? And then with layered weapons, your weapon didn't feel unique. They all just felt kind of like stat sticks. And I'll save talking about wilds in a moment. I want to give you a chance to respond, but I'm still not AR 300 in Sunbreak. Do you know what you are?
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that I was going to get at when you started getting into the anomaly portion and whatnot. It is the one game, Afterworld, obviously, because Afterworld I was like super dedicated to Monster Hunter. But like that is the one game that I've also didn't finish the anomaly grind. I wasn't able to. It was too much. And I thought it was interesting that I would ask people, because they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've been Hunter rank 300." And I was like, "How'd you do it?" And they were like, "Well, I got together with 3 other people, and then we just grounded these quests. There were like 4 monsters, and then we just did that same quest into the dirt." And I was like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like fun at all. Like,
there's not much waiting for you. And mild spoilers for people that haven't or maybe someday want to get into the Sunbreak grind. My understanding is, of course, you unlock special investigations at max AR.
Yeah.
They're slightly harder versions of the monsters. When they announced that, I thought that was really neat. I'm like, okay, we're at least going to get some super unique fight. But for the most part, at least what I've heard anecdotally, because I haven't even unlocked them myself, I've only played with other people, it is almost entirely tier 1 monsters. Lagambi gets a big ball. That's it. I mean, you're not really seeing unique attack patterns or new moves from other monsters as you're doing special investigations. It's just another life and damage multiplier.
There's like the ones that came after it, like the EX, whatever.
There's the Risen monsters, of course.
Yeah, the Risen, but there's like the EX Anomaly 300.
The Hazard. I mean, I forget
what the name was.
They're event quests. Well, it's special investigation is what it's called. That's the highest of the high. You have to get AR 300, max the quest out, and then it's a special investigation.
You can be lower, but you need somebody else to like host the quest for you. That I remember.
And I'm not gonna grind it. And I'm not, I'm against cheating. Like, I don't mind mods, but like, I'm not going to cheat my rank up. Like, I'm just not going to do that.
I remember that I made it quite high, because like there was that one moment. The problem with me was also that I started on Switch, right? So I grinded everything on Switch, and then I went to PC for Sunbreak, and I grinded everything on PC, and then for some strange messed up reason, my brain just went, you know what? I think the game was more fun on Switch. And this is the dumbest thing. There's no reason for that. It's literally the same game. Literally the same game. But my brain
let's not get carried away. I don't know. It's the same game. But the mindset is different on the Switch. It does look like a Switch game. So when you put it on the Switch, your mindset is there. I'm going to play a game that looks suspiciously good for a Switch game. Yeah. But then you blow that up on PC, and it's just a really good looking Switch game.
Yeah, but like let me tell you, my brain has like these OCD moments, and one of the things that triggered the crap out of me was like, you're in town, running around, 60 FPS, you go eat your dongo, 30 FPS, and I'm just like, oh, why?
It's gross. There is a mod for that. There is a mod that unlocks the cutscene. Yeah.
I don't really use mods at all, so I was like,
yeah.
Every time that I'd be going from 60 to 30, I would be like, this is so why wouldn't you just I don't understand the logic behind this. Because especially if there's a mod, you're not going to convince me that like somebody at Capcom couldn't have just done that and figured it out.
Well, I mean, pretty commonly, whether they'll admit it or not, I mean, you do see a lot of very popular mods one way or another getting implemented into the game base kit by Capcom. So I'm pretty sure One Hit Tenderize was a thing there from all the people that were downloading the mod that was, One Hit Tenderize under the mod Nexus. Better shiny visibility was a very popular mod, and they did eventually increase shiny visibility. A lot of things like that. I mean, Capcom does watch, they are familiar. It's always just a matter of whether or not they have a particular reason to implement them or not. I can't for the life of me understand why Dongo has to be 30 FPS.
30 FPS Dongo. But anyway, because of those things, what ended up happening was, so I did Rise on Switch, grinded the crap out of that game. Then I did Sunbreak on PC, also grinded the crap out of that game. Then I went back to Switch, and I grinded all the way over again. And
oh my God.
Yeah. I grinded Sunbreak all the way back up. And in there is actually where I have my highest anomaly. And I know that at one point they patched it so that you could go like super fast. I don't know if you played during those times, but
I never got lucky enough to get it. But yeah, they did boost it by like 2.5 times or 4 times or something.
I forget how much they boosted it, but I remember that like getting to 220 was super easy.
Yes,
like just
they really, grinding, boom, really boom, boom. Boosted it.
But then you get to 220 and you just hit a wall. Bam! And then I grinded for 20 more levels, and then I was like, nah, I think I'm good. I think this...
Yeah, 240 was the main content. So I don't know if you caught that one interview between Ryozo and Ichinose, but they did say a big inspiration for Rise and how they wanted to play. They wanted it to be like a mobile game. Like to them, that's not a negative thing. They said, we want this to be the same sort of loop you get for playing a mobile game. So mobile games, of course, infamously, and other free-to-play type games have a very long tail end in terms of you're going to constantly grind something for a long time. Obviously, the more time you're in the game, more chance you might buy some sort of a cosmetic. And again, Rise is the first game that I saw that really went all in on giving out paid layered cosmetics. World, of course, had emotes. It had stickers. It probably had paid pendants. It had stuff in your house. It had things you could pay, but when you were out in a quest, it was rare to see something that was so dramatic as like a completely new layered outfit. Usually they were given for free. But I think they figured like people paid so much money in World, maybe they'll be willing to do it in Rise. And then for Wilds, it's like game comes out, there's like $110, $120 version that has 2 season passes worth of cosmetic DLC. Like from the very get-go. There's cosmetic DLC in the game, which, I mean, it has to influence the design of the game in some way.
I brought it up in my interview, and they didn't really answer it all that well. I'm not sure if you watched the interview, but I was like, so we didn't really get that much good stuff in the event quest for Monster Hunter Rise. And they kind of like dodged that question. I was like, okay, I see. We're not talking about that, right? Okay, I get it.
It makes you wonder, of course, the Capcom earnings report just came out yesterday. They're saying Wilds is one of the most profitable games ever. Like it's
wildly
already sold
successful.
10 million copies. It's at 10 million already, right? Within 2 months. Main platform being PC, which is amazing because, performance-wise, Wilds has not been great and is still not great. But, it shows that they're moving towards PC as a main platform. And along with that, I think they're also still trying to reconcile, again, all this paid stuff that's on there.
Yeah. It was definitely a strange thing, but you were saying that like you were not a fan of Sunbreak, but it seems to me like you were not a fan of the end game grind of Sunbreak. That's more where I'm at with it.
I mean, for all of Monster Hunter, my favorite part is always the progression, right? So I've made tons of new characters over the year when I'm streaming and it's going to be Monster Hunter related content. I would say 9 times out of 10, it's a new character and we're going to be doing some sort of a challenge run, whatever it's going to be, a deathless run, a randomizer run, something else like only use great Jagras gear, something like that. And so killing monsters, making gear obviously is the main gameplay loop in Monster Hunter. And you could always rely on that progression being great. So, you know, whether we're talking base Rise or, you know, Rise into Sunbreak or World and then World into Iceborne or even just base Wilds, you know, making new gear from new monsters and then using that to get more gear. That's always my favorite part of the game. That's great. So I didn't mind, you know, even Sunbreak up until AR 100 felt fine because you were constantly getting new monsters. You're constantly unlocking new parts. You know, there was always going to be a lot of variety and you could really feel that progression kind of going up. Now, with boosted AR gain, yes, in Sunbreak, it's probably a lot better. But if you ever feel like finishing out the fight or the hunt or so to speak, you're going to be in it for, I always say hundreds of hours, but, you know, each monster, you know, if you're fighting like Risen Shigaru, you know, with a lot of modifiers, maybe you get one AR rank per run, but that still might be
at 240, like not even, you know,
not even a full bar, right?
Not even 4 monster hunts, which at the time that I stopped playing, that's kind of like where the meta was. If you wanted to grind anomaly ranking, not even the 4 monster quests would give you like 1 full bar. At 240, you're getting, so you need at least 2 quests, and at certain points you would need 3 quests per level. And again, you're talking about 3 quests where there's at least one of the really hard monsters, so like either Risen Shigaru or whatever was the other one, because there were other ones that were also like on that level.
Chameleos, Kushala, Valstrax.
Yeah, but like, so I think it was mostly Shigaru and Valstrax. Those were the 2. So you need at least one of those, or if you had both of them, that's even better. Plus 2 other monsters. It's just like, or 3 other monsters, depending. And it was just like, okay, these quests, you know, having to do 3 of these to gain 1 level is a bit much. So I didn't do the grind. I know a lot of people did the grind, but I got burned out. And the other thing that burned me out, but by the way, the thing is, I still greatly enjoyed Sunbreak. I just, you know, you get to the end and you get a little bit tired, but my impressions on Sunbreak are still very much positive. The one thing that I definitely hated wasn't even the anomaly grinding. It was curious crafting.
The weapons or the armor? Probably the armor more than anything.
The weapons is fine because the weapons, it's predictable.
Right.
It's like there's you go and you grind the thing you want to get the upgrade you want, then you upgrade. That's fine. But the armor was miserable. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I would do is I would only do curious crafting at the end of the stream because I know that after doing this, I'm not going to want to play the game anymore. So it's just like, I'll do all the cool things.
You don't want to warm up with an hour of staring at spreadsheets?
No. I'll do all the cool things, and then at the end, I'll do the thing that I know is going to make me hate the game, and then I finish the stream, you know?
Yeah. The melding cat is almost worse in a way when you're making her talismans. That's pretty tough, too.
Oh, I gave up on talismans. So I had this one talisman that I got in base Rise. Never upgraded from that one. I tried a million times. Everybody's always saying, getting a talisman is so easy. I was like, no, bro, it's not. So I like Part Breaker. So I had a talisman that had like 2 Part Breaker, 3 Wirebug Whispers, and 2 Tier 2 slots. And I was like, yeah, that'll do me. Don't need anything else. I tried. For the longest time, I tried, okay, I want one with this, and it would always give me like some garbage skill mixed in, or it wouldn't have enough slots. And I got to a point where, especially because after a certain while, as you keep upgrading and bouncing up in AR, I don't even know if you made it that far or not, but it's like they gave you new rituals, and I'm like, I don't even know which ritual I'm doing anymore because there's like friggin' 3 of them, and now I need materials from this level of anomaly rank, and I just got to a point where I was like, listen, I'll just take the Part Breaker and Wirebug Whisperer and ignore this system altogether.
That's good enough. That's good enough for what you want. I mean, but like I said, I do love Gunlance and Rise, and especially Sunbreak. Yeah. It is extremely fun. I know there's a lot of people, and I don't blame them for doing that. They just throw on max Wirebug Recovery and they just do nothing but Barrage Blast. But using Blast
it's so much
Dash
fun.
plus, it's okay. But, you know, Blast Dashing into full slams, using the Earth Splitter into the Hail Cutter. Because like the very last patch of Sunbreak, and this is almost like evil, there's a lot of information out there on YouTube that is all referencing everything before the final patch that came out for Sunbreak, because they changed a lot of things.
Oh yeah, they did.
You know, in the very last patch, like, you know, up until then, and again, I haven't tested it like complete damage side by side. Insect Glaive, for instance, a lot of it was the Tetraseal Slash, which is a pretty slow move. It was always a weird move in base Rise because it just wasn't good. Then it was good, but then it didn't feel good. You're like, oh God, like I never wanted this. Why is it here? But they buffed like the infinite combo, I believe. Like I haven't confirmed it anywhere, but the infinite combo actually does great damage now, which is amazing. Like they did work up until the very end. But for Gunlance, the very last thing they changed, I think, or among the last things they changed, Hail Cutter went from 2 wire bugs to 1 into a fast recovery speed, and you could use it in the air. So it's so much fun blast dashing, shooting up, and then Hail Cuttering down is great.
You could have always used it in the air, by the way.
Right. But I mean, it was 2 cost, and you probably didn't want to use all your wire bugs. They made it way better to use.
I was using it in the air in base rise. Like
Hail Cutter's one real fan.
I was using it because it was the thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to do aerial shelling. So I would just like
it is good now.
I would blast dash into aerial shell, then I would finish with a Hail Cutter. And that was my signature style for a long while. It was terrible performance-wise. It was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, my excuse was like Gunlance wasn't great. I mean, damage-wise, it was so fun to play, but the damage was a little lacking. Yeah.
My excuse was like, listen, but I'm rocking Part Breaker 3, so I'm kind of like a hunting horn. I break the parts, and then everybody else deals more damage. This is great. This is fantastic. I'm changing nothing.
I mean, in Sunbreak, of course, they have a lot of those skills that synergize. I think the Primordial Malzeno skill scales with like recovery, so you can get the blood right or whatever on broken parts. So I mean that could work great theoretically. That'd be really good.
But yeah, that I was in the final patch of Sunbreak. I think that Hail Cutter was pretty much meta because like everybody that was running Gunlance was running Hail Cutter, and they were running the
probably their splitter to power up the shells, I would assume.
Yeah, that as well. But I don't even think that a lot of people cared that much about that though. Because I think it was more about...
You're talking about the reverse blast dash, the reverse butt slam, because that was great too. I always had that
reverse blast dash into, and then they would also do Hail Cutter. But the thing is, the Gunlance that they were using was the Pyre Rachna Kadaki, because it was like one of the best.
That's a good one. I mean, the shelling level was great. It had blast, which works on pretty much everything. Sharpness was good. Slots, I think, were pretty good.
But see, you're pretty positive about Sunbreak. It's just the end game that kind of like peeved you.
Right. I'm very positive on Gunlance. And there's some other weapons that are okay too. Yeah. Like, I do love when they get weird with it. Like, it is nice to go back and check out the weirder games. Like, Generations Ultimate, to this day, still has all sorts of tech that people just haven't bothered with. That's out there. Like, weird insect glaive things, like using Valor Insect Glaive with Bug Major is actually kind of a very interesting play style.
Alchemy Gunlance.
Alchemy Gunlance is fine. Yeah. I mean, Alchemy in general is a system that, again, most people will likely never interact with, but there's this whole system of like buffing yourself and other people.
I loved Alchemy so much. I was running Alchemy all the time. Like one of my friends got me hooked on it. And I was like, oh yeah, I do this thing. Everybody gains SP gauge. And then I do this other thing. And it was crazy. I loved Alchemy Gunlance, but it sucked. It was terrible. It was actually the performance of Gunlance.
I think it was fine. I mean, you had 3 skills. You could have done.
If you're playing,
well, I don't think it was called Gunpowder Infusion, but there was some skill that buffed all of the skills. You had the anti-aerial flare, which was amazing. I mean, Valor Gunlance with anti-aerial flare 1 is actually like really fun.
Yeah,
it's like really good.
Aerial flare is like one of my favorite skills that I've always wanted to come back because it's so stylish. It almost feels like you're slapping the monster with the Gunlance with explosions from the air. I'm just like, bro, this is the best thing ever. But they never brought it back. And it's funny to just talk about Blast Dash. A lot of people were wondering if I was disappointed that Wilds didn't have Blast Dash, and I was like, I expected it. I expected them not to bring it to a more grounded Monster Hunter because it's kind of rough to justify. Yeah, we're riding this Gunlance into battle. Watch, whee!
I could see it coming back in Master Rank. I could see it. I could see something like that happening though. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want going into the Master Rank expansion. I mean, you still have the secret that's available at all times. You know, it's not like the damage itself is going to be much better. The mobility is already there. I mean, I guess it's time to get into the tea of Monster Hunter Wilds, but focus mode just changes everything. There's no excuse not to give people more mobility. I mean, just look at Sword and Shield and what it gets for free. Perfect guards, sliding.
I've played Sword and Shield this time around.
It's strong. It's almost too strong. Like sometimes there are weapons that they're so effective, I don't want to play them because I don't even feel like I'm playing a video game. I'm just like watching the monster die.
Damn. But as we're transitioning into Wilds, what was your Wilds experience like?
So Wilds was interesting. It was the first time I had gotten a review key for a game a very long time ago.
Really?
And ever. Yeah, no, I mean, usually I'll get a key like 24 or 48 hours ahead of time, but this was like actual weeks. Just, it was mine. I mean, you're in Capcom Europe, it's different, so your
Oh,
territory might
right.
be
You're
different, but North America is kind of slow in terms of giving those sort of things out. It's different now, but for many
no, I
years,
think
you didn't get, yeah.
I think that Joe is has been doing fantastic work when it
Yeah.
comes to that stuff for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's definitely a policy change and something they're more directly approaching. But I mean, I did actually mention once at one time streaming or a video that I have like the exact opposite opinion of Gaijin Hunter, in that he's like, he wants to play at the same time as everyone else. He wants to experience everything with everything at the same time else. But when you're a live streamer and you live stream as much as I do, when you live stream on launch, it is awful if you don't like spoilers. And like, I
oh
get
yeah.
one new Monster Hunter game every 18 to 24 months if I'm lucky. And you're going to get like every armor skill, every monster, every surprise reveal and stuff like that dumped on you, hours, if not moments before the cool thing happens. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to play the game early. Like, forget that. Like, I want to at least have a chance. Like, I can't even remember the last time I would have played a Monster Hunter off of making content. Probably Base Generations, maybe
Yeah,
Base
it's
Cross, I guess, would have been the last time I really just had a chance to sit back and kind of experience Monster Hunter on its own merits without being in sort of like a live streaming sort of audience space.
I still remember one of the worst spoilers that happened to me with Iceborne was I was still progressing through the ranks of Iceborne, and somebody just jumps in chat and say, "Hey, has he fought silver and gold yet?" And I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, that's annoying. Like, seriously,
Like,
dude,
friggin'
like you
really,
still
bro?
you're fighting Pookie, like trying to get, your first purple poison weapons. And they're like, hey, have you fought the zombie dragon? Hey, have you fought these monsters that are returning? Like, come on,
Yeah,
And I'll
it's
say this, like the one thing that's great about Wilds, like they did an amazing job with the story and everything that goes along with that. So like that sense of progression as you go along up until, I think it's like HR 41. I think they did do a really good job there. I think they really did make that feel special. And I think hopefully most people had a chance to enjoy that in a way that was
without getting
best for them.
spoiled. Yeah.
Yeah, or challenging in a certain way. Like when I played it, I kept my cat around because I usually keep him around. But one of the things I said, and I don't know where you fell on it specifically, if you're an experienced Monster Hunter player, the cat can really change your experience in Wilds dramatically. I mean, at points, I almost thought he was bugged because, he would heal you 3 or 4 times in a row. And the
Yep.
funniest thing that can happen is you've unlocked the Vigor Wasp revive, you're dead. He's in his little airship soloing the monster for like 30 seconds. And,
And you're just
on the
like
ground.
lying there.
You're just waiting for the heal.
He's like, I'm the main character now. You wait for me, not the other way around.
Yeah. So the difficulty for Wilds, like we could spend a 3-hour podcast talking about it on its own.
We'll talk about the difficulty because that's kind of like a sensitive topic in the community right now. I've gotten like a tremendous amount of backlash over saying that I want more challenge, but
Well, who's giving you backlash on that?
Yeah, a lot of people got very upset because I said, I want the game to be harder, and they're like, the game's plenty hard. It's like, okay, listen, whatever you feel like. Like, I got there was the 4-hour video. I'm not sure if you heard about that. There's like been a significant section of the community that is not happy about people asking for more challenge in Wilds, which it's its own topic, but we'll get to that. But following through on the whole Wilds experience thing, so you played it at least once before you actually streamed it, and then you streamed it.
No, I mean, I took it as much time to create a review that was ready on release. So my exact play time, I maybe got close to 100 hours. I mean, it was up there. Now, some of the time might have been AFK or whatever, but I wanted to make sure to really go through, fully experience the game, and then come out with a very nuanced review. And I'm glad I was able to do that. And I think up until the 100-hour mark, the review still does stand, because you're still getting through your progression. You're really just starting to crack through the crust of the Ardean weapons and kind of get a sense for whether that's going to be a fun or a not fun mechanic based on what you want. But, that base story, like I like to compare it a little bit to like what a broader audience might like. Like in a way, low rank is kind of for the people that just pick up Horizon Zero Dawn because they heard the graphics look good. play
Yeah.
it, beat it, get through the credits, and then they're out. So anything up until the credits, I think it gets a pass for difficulty. Rise credits rolled after beating Magna Malo in the village. You don't even max out your star rank, and you're getting. He's your first whatever last tier monster, kind of, but then you still have HR unlocks with Almadron and everything else. So you haven't even fought every monster in the game before you're running credits in Rise. I mean, the speed run, it's close to an hour. If you're talking about from start character creation to credits, it's about an hour, if not under an hour.
Yeah, that is pretty fast.
It's fast. It's the fastest one, I think.
But,
I don't think even Portable Third can go that fast.
When I played it, I spent about 50 something hours because I wanted to leave a lot of optional things and whatever to do for the first time on stream. I didn't really do a whole lot with the Ardian system either because I was like, well, Cowboy, because I was talking to Fighting Cowboy most of the time, and he was like, well, the gun lances are useless in Ardian system, and I was like, oh great, okay, so I don't have to worry about it. That's fantastic.
I mean, he's right. I mean, I tried really hard to make any of them work, but unless we ever get an option to increase shelling level,
there's one gun lance that I would consider you can kind of make as an Ardian weapon, and that is potentially a paralysis gun lance, because the Lalabarina gun lance freaking sucks. It's terrible.
It's got like weaker shelling or something, right?
Yeah, it's got weak shelling, but then the problem is that shells don't really paralyze, and so much of your moveset consists of shells that getting paralysis proc is challenging anyway. But like paralysis is the only one that I would consider, because beyond that you have better options in the monster tree, which I think is actually like a good thing. But since we actually brought up the monster tree, how do you feel about the Ardian system versus the monster tree? These are systems that we've had, somewhat in previous Monster Hunters, like with Koltaroth, Safi Jiva, even the Rampage weapons. And I'm always like taken aback because I'm like, I don't want stuff to replace the tree. I feel like nothing should replace the tree. The tree should evolve as things continue. You should have like alternate versions of weapons that maybe compete with the tree, but they should never be outright better than what's on the tree.
I mean, I agree with you at least 99% of the way. I mean, the weird reason, the first off is most of the Ardian weapons are just kind of ugly. They just, the sword and shield is cursed. I don't know if you've seen it, but it almost looks like
I haven't seen
somebody was having their first day in Blender. You've got like things just like hanging off your body, like floating, not visibly connected to anything. And they're Ardian weapons. So like maybe they've got magnets. Maybe that makes sense.
It's magnet technology.
That whole progression, and it's a topic that I might even make a separate video on at some point. The way Ardian sidesteps 90 to 95% of the crafted tree is tough. And then not only that, the way you upgrade the crafted tree is rares just aren't rare anymore. You can just target farm any sort of ruby or anything you want. Yes, you need to get the tickets to craft them, but they're pretty much a solved issue in terms of crafting them. But even then, 95% of the time, a very well-rolled Ardian weapon will beat the equivalent crafted weapon. They're just almost always better. I don't know why there's been this pervasive fear at Capcom that having good element on your weapons is suddenly going to make the game too easy. There's all sorts of different ways to balance it. They've got almost, 35-ish monsters in the game. Somebody's going to like go insane in the comments, be like, it's actually 38, whatever. The monster roster is diverse enough that you could really have very strong elemental ratio weapons. You could have very weak elemental ratio weapons and then make up the difference. But even the worst rolled Ardian weapon, unless it's really, really bad, most of the time is just better than a crafted weapon anyways. So even for all the crafting you could do in the tree, it's just time. It's just like you said, upgrading your other Ardian weapons. It's not a matter of getting lucky and getting a good drop off of a Rathalos that you've been hunting for 1 or 2 hours hoping for a ruby. It's just pick the target farm, get the ruby, make the weapon. And even then, you could just make the Ardian equivalent and then you're done. Yes, you have to spend an hour hunting things to jam parts into the oil well basin to get enough ore to max it out. But even a bad rolled weapon is still usually better anyways. So I think, yes, crafted weapons should be the best. If we are going to get a weapon like that, it shouldn't be so soul crushing. Like it's bordering, if not above, the level of tediousness that we had from Rise in terms of cycling charms from the talisman melding, right? You're sitting in a menu, you're figuring out what items to put in, you're hoping the random roll on the Ardian weapon is a good one. And there are ways to scum it if you want. I haven't done any of that, but there are people that are just full on scumming them, backing up their save and then reloading them and putting on something else. And like, I just don't want to do that metagame in Monster Hunter. It's just not the way I want to play it. No.
Yeah. It's just not fun.
Getting too old to be polling that specific slot machine. I want my slot machine to be at the end of the hunt. So when I have killed a hard monster, an AT equivalent or otherwise, give me the weapon, give me the charm, give me the deco, whatever, and then just show me all right there, and then I'll go back and start hunting again. But don't make it a thing where I got to sit at a menu and pull this lever and hope that I get something good, and then unequip it and then scrap it and then roll again.
That is a problem that we've seen, and a lot of people now define Monster Hunter by like old gen versus new gen. When we started with World, that's like considered new gen. So World, Rise, Wilds, that's new gen Monster Hunter. And when it comes to new gen Monster Hunter, we've had those systems in every single one of them in one way or another. So actually, no, Sunbreak had it for the armor instead of the weapens, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even whatever. Base World, you had something close in Kolv.
Yeah,
but
Kolv, listen, Kolv, I hate Kolv. Okay,
what?
It's like
I like play with fight. All of your fans.
No. I like the fight. Don't get me wrong. I like the fight, the Kolv fight. The reward system for Kolv is absolute garbage. Like, that's the only way to define it. Some people will disagree with me, but it's like, listen,
the weapons are ugly. I will give you that.
I don't even think the weapons are ugly. I don't mind the golden looking weapons. Like, that's fine. My biggest problem was that if you're playing Gunlance, you're looking for that wide shelling level 4. There's only one way of getting it in base world before the defender gear, and that's Kolv. And there's no other way of getting it. Absolutely no other way. And I'm like, when it came out, I was like, oh, finally. There's wide shelling level 4. I need to get one of these wide shelling level 4 gun lances. Every single moment of free time that I had for the first 2 weeks that Cult to Roth was around, was spent grinding. Whether I was home, whether I was in the office, whether it was the morning, the evening, the night, I'm either streaming and hunting Cult to Roth, or I'm not streaming, but I'm still hunting Cult to Roth, like just nonstop. Okay, going into random lobbies, jumping in there, AFK with my light bowgun, like watching movies, going like pa 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 pa, because the fight, inside and out by that point. And it was literally the last hunt on the last day, right before the event went away, that I was able to get one of the white shelling level 4 gunlets. I was like, bro, never again.
I don't think it should go on that long, but I would say of all of those mechanics, I still prefer the Kolv mechanic. Almost everything else, I think Safi is when they kind of locked it in, because
Safi
you could
was
target
better.
Farm the particular weapon you wanted, right? So whatever you did when you claimed your rewards, you would get 2 of that weapon. And then it was just a matter of jamming stuff into the weapon to upgrade it, and then getting either the armor skill you wanted or the specific level 6 skill.
They've also improved on that system at some point, because, like, let me tell you, rolling Zora Magdros set bonus, that was challenging. On some gun bro, I had this one gun lance that I was trying to make, and it went over, like, how it had the number of tries marked on the gun lance somewhere? It went over like 200, and I was like, this gun lance is cursed. Okay, it's just cursed. It's over for this gun lance.
There's a strategy to it, and off of the top of my head, could I say what it is? But there's definitely a strategy. Ideally, you do enough until it just kind of rolls a little bit onto the gun lance that you wanted in the first place.
Yeah,
and then you just go with that. But Safi is where I think, a hunt you do together that has a good number of phases, that feels fun, that you could target farm, that you could reliably boost up, that had some RNG, but not too much RNG. That is where I think it should be. The way the Ardian is, where you're fighting kind of whatever, jamming whatever into a part, and then just kind of getting whatever at the end with no chance to refine it. That's where I kind of take umbrage.
I think what we should have had with the Ardian system is, say, for instance, you're crafting like a fire weapon. You got to go fight a Rathalos. Got to go fight, a new Udra.
Need fire parts, essentially.
Need a fire monster to get a fire part to make your Ardian weapon. And then maybe even you can choose like a different skin. Like, say, oh, this one is themed out of new Udra parts or whatever, and therefore it has like some new Udra elements to it, or it has like some, even if it's bits on sticks, since it's just specifically for this system, I'm like, fine, whatever. At least there's like some type of representation there for the thing that you're hunting, and it makes sense. Because I think that for me at least, when it comes to Monster Hunter, one of the things that I've always bragged about when I talk to people, because I know a lot of people that play looter games and stuff like that, and they're like in their Destinies or in their Diablos, and I'm like, so you're running this same boss over and over again, some random. See, in my video game, I want to make the fire sword. I go fight the fire dragon. Fire dragon drops the parts, and I make the fire sword. And then they add these systems, and it's like, now it's a lie. Now it doesn't work now it's just like the other game where you just put in parts in the slot machine and some random thing comes out, But we've had that before for Ultimate as well with the guild weapon system or whatever, which I didn't actually engage in because I didn't play.
I mean, there was so much in 4, let alone 4U, that was truly an optional side system at the end. I mean, you really could have gotten by just fine with just craftable weapons across the board. I mean, even the Dalmadur weapons were kind of insane. They only got better in the Master Rank expansion. But, Ardian, it's that one thing that's sitting at you, staring at you in the face, because one of the issues in World, again, we talked about it a little bit, was you wanted to have the one deco to base your set around, right? Capacity up, artillery, guard up, whatever. Wilds makes it easier than ever. You can craft almost any level 1 and level 2 decos. I think there's actually, can you craft level 3 decos as well?
I don't think you can.
I don't think level 3, but you can get a very strong baseline for pretty much everything you need, just crafting it guaranteed. And then because of how they separated armor skills and weapon skills, you can now, once you've got enough armor skills, you could ignore those blue decos. So all you're doing now is target farming the yellow ones. And again, as long as you have one that's good enough, once you have the three crit boosts, or I guess 2 crit boosts or whatever, you're pretty much done. So decos are no longer anything that you really have to grind for much past 150, 200 hours maybe. Talismans are, of course, craftable. Monster crafting is, of course, you can get the rares. You don't have to hunt anything to get the rares. So those are just a given. Plus the tickets are just something you're just going to get anyways. The only real infinite end game grind that is there, because there is a demand for people that want to just be able to be like, I guess all I play is Monster Hunter now, is the Ardian weapons. And I think that figured very strongly into the way they designed it. If there was one aspect of the game that almost feels rushed, it does feel like Ardian, because I think if they took somebody from Capcom and really made them stick in that system for 150, 200 hours, they would probably start to getting a lot of the same emotions that we have about it. And we're like, this is just tedious and not fun. This is just not a good system. At least with Ardian weapon grinds, it was deterministic. You could max it out if you wanted. With Kolv weapons, as long as you just got the one hit on the weapon you wanted, you got it.
You mean
with Ardian?
With Safi, it was deterministic.
Well, you're right. Kolv was random, but Safi was very deterministic, right? Because you at least get the 2 back, and Safi was the best system. But I think even Kolv, to me, clears Ardian. Yes, Ardian is easier to make, but just because it's easier doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Because what you're looking for is just something that's satisfying, right? You want to have that level of effort and payoff to be about the same. Maybe even feel like, you have to do a little bit more effort sometimes, or you get a little bit more payoff sometimes. With Ardian, it's just if you play all the weapons, 14 times, maybe at least 5 around there.
I'm just happy that with the Gunlance, I don't have to engage in that.
If you just play one weapon, especially if you just play Gunlance, you can make that, I think it was the Guardian Arkfeld Gunlance.
It's Guardian Arkfeld, yeah. I've crafted all the Gunlances because I like playing with different ones.
And some of them are fine. Again, Guardian, Arkfeld may be the best in the training room. That doesn't mean the other Gunlances are useless. They're still perfectly fine.
Yeah. It's as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I've mentioned. When you compare it with other new gen Monster Hunter games, this one has potentially the best selection of Gunlances, because in the other ones, even if the Gunlance is not meta, I'm just can it at least have maximum shelling level? Just so that I can use it. It just needed to have maximum shelling level. That's the only thing that I've ever wanted. And in this one, we have I think I counted them at one point. We have 8 gun lances that have maximum shelling level. And I'm this is great. I get to choose between 8. This is fantastic. Like in base Rise, I had like 3 or something like that, right? And in World, there was usually like 1 or 2. And it was like, bro, what the hell? There's no choice. And this one,
I did see a run with somebody using the Gypceros Gunlance. I mean, it's out there. I mean, it was a TA run. Yeah, it's not bad.
It's the problem with Gypceros is that the skills on it suck. They're really bad.
Like crit draw or something like that. Yeah.
It's crit. Yeah. They're like crit draw and a gun lance. That doesn't sound very good.
Someone's getting a little silly with it.
Yeah, but it's like actually that one was one of the ones that I crafted very early on. I used to, me and Cowboy had like this long running joke where he was like, and again, joke not something that we did content. It was like during the review period we kept going back and forth, and he was like, bro, wide is where it's at. And I was like, no, listen to me. Long shelling is where it's at. And then eventually turns out he was right, but not for the reasons he thought, because he thought wide was good because of charged shells. And then eventually, right before the game officially came out, I go to him and I'm like, Cowboy, I need you to run some tests for me because full burst wide shelling is beating normal.
It doesn't. Like, it's insane and he was like, how that works.
You're crazy. No way that's happening. I was like, bro, we need to test it. And then he goes in. He's like, oh, you're right. Yes, I know. I've been simulating it nonstop. And wide shelling beats out everything for some strange reason, which is weird. It seems like all it took was for them to like, we're not going to penalize it by 10% this time. That's all it took. Now it's the best.
I mean, plus, you've got the full worm stake blast combo. So you've got,
good.
3 full. You're going to hate this, but I think it's actually a terrible move. And not because it's bad.
Really?
It's because it's too good.
No, you are correct. You are correct. There is one thing that I definitely miss, which is like we were talking about Rise and Sunbreak. And in Sunbreak, for instance, the amount of play styles that you could have with the Gunlance, and you could like build around them. Like I told you, I did the blast dash into aerial shelling,
which is amazing. It's actually pretty good.
Into what do you call it? The hail cutter?
Hail cutter.
Right. Then there's the other one where it's just like traditional full blast with ground splitter and whatnot. Then there's barrage if you want to do that with bullet barrage. And then there was one of my favorite ones was actually guard reload, where you just go in, shell, guard, reload, shell, guard. Because it's such an aggressive style that you're playing it almost like a lance. You're literally on top of the monster, and whenever the hit's about to come, guard, reload, and shell. And it feels phenomenal. I love that. That was one of my favorite playstyles. It sucked damage-wise. It wasn't very good. But you could still do endgame monsters with it. It just took you longer than other weapons. And there's no reason whatsoever to ever try to do a style like that in Wilds, because like you said, Wyvern Stake Full Blast is in fact just too good. And it comes with 2 built-in guard points, which is really
hard to land, but I mean, sometimes it hits, you're like, oh, thanks.
The last one is a little bit easier to land, I feel like. It's a little bit more predictable, but the first one, that one's
you need to be Nostradamus, though. You need to be Nostradamus, though, picking that last one. I'm not saying you can't do it, but you'd have to have a pretty good understanding of whatever, Doshiguma palm slamming, or maybe some Zosha palm slamming or something like that.
I've had some situations where I'm like, oh, if I delay here just a smidge, I can land that last one, but it's very rare. It's very rare. I'm not that good. I'll be real, I'm just not that good. But I have landed it quite a few times. The last one. The second one is complete chance. Like if you see, not the second one, the first one. If you see me land the first block of the Wyvern Stake Full Blast, that was complete blind luck because it's very hard to plan for that one. But other weapons. So in the previous podcast, you had told me that you don't really have like a main. You usually tend to have weapons that you don't like in different monster hunters.
You want me to go through my diss track?
Yes, give me your diss track for the weapons in Wilds.
All right, I'll go off the top of my head like smash or pass, okay? Great sword, smash. Long sword, pass. Long sword, I actually have 0 uses in Wilds. Not because I think it's bad, but it's not something that I feel motivated to play.
Interesting. Can you
I don't know. I was corrupted a little bit by Rise, where I was like, I just don't. It's, my favorite play style for longsword isn't counter focused. It's swinging the pool noodle around. So Freedom Unite, build up your spirit gauge, pool noodle it, and then if we're lucky in a later game, maybe you build up a spirit gauge. Again, people hated it in 4U because you would lose the spirit gauge. I love that you lose the spirit gauge because now it's going to encourage you to go back in and use some moves that you're not using all the time. I want to have good skill diversity. I think it makes the game more fun. One interesting idea, this could be a fun mod idea, add a style combo to Monster Hunter. And the more of your moveset you use, make the damage start scaling up and up and up. Not a terrible idea.
That would be interesting because, like, if I'm playing Gunlance, I'm generally just like Wyvern Stake full blasting. I've been trying to do the thing that Cow Slayer is talking about. This is a combo that I remember him talking about during the beta, which is if you do a standard full burst and then you dodge and then you do a quick reload and you can do full burst again because you do the quick reload, then you can go into slam again. And that's a style that you can kind of do. And apparently it's good with normal shelling, but I'm just like, I could just Wyvern Stake full blast and there's stakes.
If you can Wyvern Stake full blast, if you've got no consequences, Wyvern Stake full blast is okay. So Longsword pass, Sword and Shield, pass, I do like it, but it is too powerful for the monsters that we have right now. The Perfect Guard is just too powerful. It's so strong. You don't need guard at all. Just Perfect Guard, and then you land into an extremely powerful move. It is just absurd how powerful it is. So
Gaijin was telling me that you can just put up block and then mash triangle.
You can do the guard slash thing. That's lame. That's baby mode. You don't need to do that. That's really unnecessary because you can either move out of the way, you could slide out of the way, you could just time your Perfect Guard and then get it that way. You don't need to do that.
I love the way that you just said that's so unnecessary. It's like you're watching
It's unnecessary. You don't need to do it. If you were locked in more, I would agree, but all it does is reset your opportunity for Perfect Guard.
You're watching two people beat the crap out of each other in the street, and then there's just one person that's clearly winning and just like destroying this. And you're like, you really don't need to do that. You can just stop.
Right. So Dual Blades is great. I enjoy the flow of building up demon mode and then spending an archdemon. I think that's okay. I think the perfect evasion is okay. I don't like, and I don't know how familiar you are with the carpal tunnel combo of like staying in archdemon mode, one attack and then archdemon one, and then one attack and then archdemon one.
Yeah, it's basically you're spamming trigger, right?
It's triangle, triangle, circle, more or less. And it feels unintentional, but it also feels like the sort of thing that would be very difficult for them to fix. So I don't know if we'll ever see it fixed. But you don't have to play it that way. Even if you just play Dual Blades as intended, it's okay. Lance pass, I love it. I especially love it if you actually try to land the real counter. So Lance, I think, is okay with counters. Mind you, it would be great to see the Day of Evasion Lance again. It's not here. We're not in it. Sorry. Perfect Guards are still too strong.
I wanted to do evasion gun lancing, but I was like, nah. Wyvern Stake full.
Same thing.
I tried making it work. Yeah.
We don't need to talk about Gunlance. Obviously, I play it. I make builds for it all the time, but it's not the sort of thing we need to get into. What else? So Hammer is fun, but in almost every way, you don't feel like you're actually dealing damage. Like Hammer used to be the king of like almost one-hit damage moves. The golf swing with how quickly you could get it out was right up there with Greatsword in terms of like spikes of damage that you could inflict on the monster. Now, all the golf swing does is like, okay, you can maybe get an offset, or now you could do a mighty charge, and the mighty charge isn't even going to feel that great. It's not the damage the weapon does. Well, I'm not saying I hate the moveset necessarily, but if anything needs a style gauge that's going to start boosting its damage, that's one of them. You know, about the trickiest, interesting thing you might be able to do is the spinning bludgeon with elemental hammer is kind of okay on some monsters. It's bizarre. It reminds me a little bit of Sunbreak, but it's a weird one. Hunting horn is okay. Bow is fun, better than the beta. Light bowgun and heavy bowgun, I made a whole character just to play them, and I mean, they need Jesus. I mean, the shots.
They're that bad?
I mean, you could do these burst sidestep fires on them, but ever since they got changed from tank controls to being something like a normal human could play, they just don't have that same sort of risk reward element to them. Yes, they do have like the burst fire you can do where you can kind of shoot a couple times in a row and get a little bit more damage out that way. But the base shot types are not super satisfying. Elemental apparently is very good, but I didn't play enough on it to even get into that, as sad as it sounds. Didn't have much appeal for me.
I don't really play the gun, so I wouldn't know that much about them. Did we miss anything?
I Insect Glaive and Charge Blade. Insect Glaive requires a full-time job. You need to have, let me see if it'll show up with the camera filter. You need to have these back paddles to play it.
It's so funny.
Because you always want to be holding the circle button.
I made a whole video about that, and we're like doing strange gang signs to try and get all the buttons together. And the thing is, I came up with a control scheme that fixed everything. It just involved different R1 presses, and that was it. So it was just like, you don't even have to change almost anything. It's just like, now you can use R1 to do certain charged attacks, and if you just tap R1, then it goes into a focus strike anyways, and it's the same thing. And no, Tokuda-san famously said in the in one of the things
he's
that
happy.
He's like, no, we like it being challenged. And I'm like, then why aren't people on mouse and keyboard being challenged at all? Like,
it feels like work when I play it.
They get to just like play it without having any of these issues. It's strange.
Yeah.
It was a very strange decision on them. Yeah, that definitely I think is one of the more problematic weapons. Yeah.
And Charge Blade is like one of the last ones. And mind you, one of my favorite ways to play Base Rise was with, I call it Savage Axe, but I think they changed the name. Maybe it was never called Savage Axe. Like, I feel like I'm being gaslit.
It was called Savage Axe and Iceborne.
I think they changed the name. I think it's different now. Whatever it is. You could stay in it basically forever, almost forever. Obviously, you need to recharge your shield and stuff like that. But the way you're able to move with focus mode makes it so the challenge that it had in that style in Base Rise is just not really there anymore. You know, to me, it just doesn't have that same risk reward, like, because you can sheath it, you keep your axe buff, and you don't feel punished for getting out of it. I know it sounds weird, like, why do you like a weapon that punishes you? It's because you feel rewarded when you get into it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
and stay in it. And then you could balance it being strong, but if you ever need to sheath or sharpen or whatever.
For me with Charge Blade is like, I'm an SAED enjoyer, and the delay
most of us
getting,
are.
Yeah, the delay of getting to SAED, I'm just like, initially I didn't have a big problem with it, but then as the monsters start moving, in the beginning of the game, it doesn't make that much of a difference, right? You're fighting monsters that are getting knocked over. It's not really a big deal. Then as you start moving up and monsters start moving just a smidge faster, like, oh, I missed my SAED again. Now, you're not meant to use SAED as fast or as reactive as you were in Base World. Base World is still my favorite Charge Blade. Like, even though I'm a Gunlance main, my most played weapon during Base World was Charge Blade. Strangely
Base
enough.
World got pretty much everything perfectly. I mean, I hate that because, like, this could be a slop title to any number of the thousands of videos like, hey, remember World? Wasn't it great?
Yeah, exactly.
World definitely got the weapon feel just about perfect. Had the right amount of hit stop, had the right amount of move diversity, had the right amount of mobility. Everything was tuned, and it felt like it had an extensive amount of play testing in it to make sure that it was going to stand the test in time. I mean, Iceborne in some ways reverted things because Sword and Shield, you go into any random SOS hunt and somebody's using Sword and Shield, they're just shooting dung pods and perfect rushing the whole time. The monster's constantly covered in crap, and there's nothing you could do about it.
I didn't even know about that meta. That's crazy.
Perfect rush was not great, and then it is like among the strongest things you can do in the game.
I mean, yeah, I like Perfect Rush because, like, it took me quite a while to learn how to do Perfect Rush because I played a ton of Sword and Shield back in the day as well. But I did not know about this dung pod thing. So people shoot the dung pod. The monster doesn't run away instantly. Is that it? It starts like sniffing around before it leaves.
Elder dragons, I don't think they get affected by the dung pods or something like that. And especially if you're fighting Fatalis, where's he going to go?
Yeah.
He's right there.
Then why?
Where's the Latran going to go? He's right there.
Then why are people shooting dung pods? I don't get it.
Because you can just equip them. You don't have to go out and do anything else. You don't even have to pick up stones. They're always in your bag. Because after you shoot a pod, you can immediately go into the Perfect Rush.
All of this to just not do the Perfect Rush tech?
I mean, so you don't have to block and back hop. It's faster. It's actually, if you think about it, shield, back hop, you're going to lose distance versus shoot, perfect rush, you gain distance.
Oh, okay.
So it'll affect your positioning as well. It'll help you be a little bit more aggressive if you're doing a slinger burst first before you go into the perfect rush.
I thought that it was because it was going to like CC the monster temporarily as it's moving or something, and that's the reason why
it's
people
just
are doing it.
Cut a couple frames off so you can get to perfect rush even faster, so you can do another perfect rush.
It was funny because I remember when I was playing Sword and Shield in Base Rise, people were telling me, "Oh, Rurikhan, don't you know, like, perfect rush is bad. You shouldn't do perfect rush." And I was like, God, I spent a long time learning how to do perfect rush. I'm going to do perfect rush. I don't give a damn. So, like, I'd do shield bash, and then I'd finish with perfect rush. And people are like, no, just shield bash nonstop. And I was like, that's boring. What do you mean? I don't want to just shield bash.
And I did a lot of math on Sword and Shield specifically, and at least in one patch, because it feels like things get changed regularly. Yeah. The damage from perfect rush is worth it if the monster doesn't take much element or if you're not using status and you land everything and the hitbox is tall enough. There's a lot of if statements and statements. So I think they're worried about a world situation. I think Wilds needs a style meter. I think it really does. I think it needs some equivalent. And, talking about fighting Cowboy, Neo 2 has that as an actual set bonus. I'm not sure how much Neo 2 you've played.
No, I've played a decent chunk. I don't remember a set bonus that does that, but
it's one of the very end game builds. I think it's called adaptability, but it could be something different for every unique combo skill you use from your weapon moveset. And of course, you've got high, medium, low, sheath. Yeah, you have a ton. I think it even counts your side weapon as well. It adds a stacking buff up to a certain amount. So it is literally, on one hand, it can reward like palm rolling your controller using every single attack you have without thinking about it. But for honestly, people that are practiced and skilled in Neo 2, you can really go through a very sleek combo and then you get rewarded for doing it as well.
It's just when it comes to a system like that, I think that it would be much more at home on a portable title like a Rise Sunbreak than necessarily like a title
I don't think we would ever see anything like that in Wilds. Could I see something like that in a portable title? Absolutely. But I think I agree with you. I don't think we'd ever see anything like that in Wilds, but you never know.
Yeah. How did you feel about the open world experience that they've tried crafting this time around for Wilds?
Like the forced secret segments, or?
No, like just open world in general. Like, right, you have huge maps this time around. They can have up to like 8 monsters in them at times. You don't care?
Does it feel significantly different or change the gameplay loop in any way from World?
It changes it in terms of how you select your targets because the rewards are there and all of that stuff. It's like different than getting investigations like you used to.
If they stuck to it, 100% the only way you could get skills was saying, hey, this monster showed up in my plains or whatever, let's go fight it. I think it has the possibility of being interesting. I think they got afraid. I think that was the intent from the beginning. And now, especially because you could cycle the map through resting, it doesn't matter. You rest until the quest you want show up, you save the investigation, you go do that.
See, that's the thing. And that is one of the, because I played the game before streaming it, I was like, okay, I know what the game is like. I know what will be an interesting thing that I can do for my live stream. So when I actually started playing it for live streaming, I put a bunch of limitations on my character. So it's like no palico, no armor upgrades in terms of like armor spheres or anything like that. There's a bunch more, like just
sounds
a bunch
good.
of stuff.
Sounds like a good start at the very least. Dumping the palico first thing is a good start.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, listen, people really underestimate how powerful the palico is. Literally, the second I dropped the palico, which the first moment that you can drop him is at Chemetries carded me instantly.
You're brave for admitting that on a podcast that will be memorialized for all time. You're braver than me. But I guess it happened. It's a matter of public record. So.
It's right there. People go watch the first
you can't deny it. It's there,
right there. No, but
Yeah.
it was funny because, like, you know, you're kind of used to the Palico coming in, dropping the vigor wasps on you and all
Oh,
that
you
stuff.
get addicted to it. No,
Yeah,
it's like a drug.
suddenly that doesn't happen, and you're playing as risky as you've always played, and then suddenly I'm like, oh yeah, this move I can parry this move 100%, and it's like, oh whoops, I was a little bit early. Uh-oh, dead. I was like,
you get burned and then you're dead. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so look, I mean, if you say I will not save investigations, I think the system for wilds is interesting.
See, that's the thing. I didn't say that I wasn't going to save investigations. What I did was one of the restrictions, no resting. And
Okay.
no optional quests more than once. So it's like I'll do them once for the completion, and then that's it. No more optional quests. So basically the idea was you have to live off the land. You have to live off whatever the game gives you. So like, here's these monsters, go hunt them, go do the thing. So I didn't rest until I beat 5 strength tempered Gormagala, because that was like the hardest thing that you could do at the time. And until then, I was not allowed to rest for any reason during the playthrough to reset monsters or anything like that. And I was also not allowed to do optional quests. So that made things much more interesting, because whenever something popped up on the map, it was much more important to me because I didn't have access to it outside of that. So like Balaharas, because for whatever reason, I was super unlucky with Balaharas. Like, everybody that reviewed the game was saying like, oh, I kill one monster and I craft literally everything I want. I killed like 20 Balaharas.
Yeah, that's not true. Anyone that said that, I mean, it's not true.
Yeah.
Obviously, it takes more than one.
But it's like, I killed 20 Balaharas to get like one gun lance and 3 pieces of armor. That's all I wanted. And it was like 20 Balaharas worth or whatever. Now, sure, I was unlucky, but still, one Balahara wasn't going to give you all the things that you wanted. No way. But,
So our point was, is the open world significant, though?
Yeah.
Playing the way you did, yes.
Yes.
If the game was designed like that, you didn't have Nada giving us free items, you didn't have resting to cycle the map, if you didn't have saved investigations, I think there's a pretty compelling game there. I think, living off the land, fighting what's available in your lobby with other people, only being able to get things in that way, remove the Ardian weapons, I think for a lot of people, but maybe not the majority, because remember, Capcom is definitely casting a way wider net. Like, it's very possible they did play testing with normal people, your normal Horizon Zero Dawn-esque sort of gamer, and they were like, I can't fight the monster that I want to fight, or and who even knows how they had optionals designed, during the development of the game, because the base design document, the one you're describing to me, sounds very compelling. But what we have with all these little bits of things, and it's always like justified as quality of life, and there is genuine quality of life things. I was playing Risk of Rain 2 last night. There is a mod that allows you to auto sprint without having to push a button. Because normally you got to keep pushing the little button. And I'm getting old. I'm 40 years old. It hurts my hands. So that is quality of life. It's a little bit cheating, but it allows you to do something. It's not allowing you to do something way different than what you'd be able to do otherwise. Whereas Wilds, you can rest, find a monster with a ruby or whatever it is you need, save it, and you've got four rubies for essentially minimal investment. And so, again, we want to have this sort of compelling long form endgame where we have like gradual progression, we have goals and things that we're building towards. But when I can just serve you up exactly what you want on a platter so that you could have basically anything in the game within 200 hours, not counting Ardian weapons,
yeah,
a lot of it's lost, And I feel like that's what happened. Like, it was almost like we designed Wilds. Okay, people are complaining that this version of Wilds is too difficult. Let's add these things on top of it. Okay, now the game feels like it's too easy and people are finishing it too quickly. Now let's add Ardian weapons. And it's just like stacking mattresses on top of each other to try and cover up, the uncomfortable reality of the game was designed potentially to be this game that you played, but that the majority of people didn't want to play.
I'll tell you right now, it was when I was playing the game like that, it was way more fun than my first playthrough that I did of the game.
You go to people's reviews you go to the reviews when there wasn't very active multiplayer, where people weren't getting infinite SOSs and stuff like that. It was different. Like, in an almost bizarre twist, the openness of multiplayer almost like hurts the game, which is funny. Monster Hunter was designed to be a multiplayer game, but it removes any element of friction that you have going into feeling your progression going upwards. you're just going way too quickly. You've got these booster packs just taking you right on up.
Yeah, it's it was definitely an interesting thing. But yeah,
yeah, no, I love it. I hope Master Rank leans into that.
One of the things that I think would also be interesting that they didn't really do, and this was something that I had mentioned previously, because one of the things that I always bring up is I would like to have longer hunts. I don't think it needs to be something that everybody has to deal with. So let's say you have these hunts, you could call them like epic hunts or adventures or whatever the hell you want to call them, right? And let's say those hunts would take 3 times as long as a regular hunt. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to do that. It's like, fine, you don't have to. The difference is they also reward you with 3 times the materials. So it's like, it evens out. So you can either do the regular quest 3 times and get those materials and everything works just the way that it works right now. Or you could go on one of these epic quests and you get 3 times the materials when it finishes, but it takes 3 times as long, right? And these would be completely optional. They don't give you any exclusive equipment or anything like that. But the idea would be, and this was something that I pitched like back in 2023 or something in one of my end of the year videos. And it would be like, you would start a quest in the ancient forest and then you would repel the monster. And let's say you wound a leg. And then that monster runs away to the Wildspire Plains, Wildspire Wastes. And you go into the Wildspire Wastes and you go hunt the same monster and do the same thing. And that monster has like the leg wound. Then eventually you chop its tail. And then the monster runs away to like some other location. Then you go follow the monster. And you get like little bits of materials here and there to kind of like keep things spicy. You're still getting some progression. And then the final time, the third quest will be the final one. And then you kill the monster. Except in Wilds, because these areas are connected, you could legitimately have a monster run from the plains, the Windward Plains, into the Scarlet Forest, and you chase it down. And that would actually make sense for the open world aspect of the game.
Did you ever play Monster Hunter DOS?
No, but I've heard.
Because you're kind of explaining Monster Hunter DOS, because, I mean, there's like at least 2 quest chains that I can think of that are exactly that.
Really?
Yeah, you just described it.
I actually did not know that was actually a thing.
Kushala, and then I won't spoil the later monster, but Kushala is like kind of like the mid-tier flagship for Monster Hunter DOS. And you fight it in like the ancient forest. You fight it in the tundra. I think you even fight it in the dunes. So you don't kill it, you repel it. Mm-hmm. You repel it until you kill it on the 3rd quest. And you get little rewards along the way.
I think I need to go play Monster Hunter DOS. That's what I need to do.
I mean, the multiplayer servers are up. I just tested them the other day. You can go into Monster Hunter DOS. It is there.
Does it have Gunlance? Because Tri didn't have Gunlance.
Oh, it has Gunlance. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Now, shelling is infamously weak. They were terrified of the amount of damage shelling would do. And
nothing
also,
has changed, I see.
Crafting is absurdly difficult for the Gunlance. I mean, DOS, I feel like it gets its design philosophy almost from like the Korean-esque free-to-play MMOs at the time. It almost feels like Lineage at a point.
Oh, no. I've done my Lineage time. I'm good. I've done my Lineage
Maybe play Freedom Unite. I think that would be a good middle ground.
I mean, that's where I started. That's where I started.
Okay, so then you're good. It's close. I mean, Freedom Unite is just the portable G rank expansion of DOS. So,
yeah, that was kind of like where I learned how to play the game.
Look,
but
I agree with you 100%. The only thing 99%. The only thing I disagree with is I think you should get a little reward at the end. I don't think a pile of materials is going to be enough. I feel like unique layered color or unique bauble, unique pendant or something like that. Anything for these heroic or adventure quests or whatever. Yeah, because I think people like getting a little treat at the end of a long challenge. And we're talking about bits and bytes. We're not talking about Capcom having to send you a pizza because you beat Extremist solo. We're talking about you get a tangible reward. You get a unique layered or some other unique piece of gear that you couldn't get otherwise. You know, we don't need, if it's an optional quest and it's optional gear, like when we're talking about video games, like you can technically make everything accessible to everyone so that people that can't get it don't feel bad when they can't get it. But then on the other end, you're making it so that people who do put the time, the work, they become masters at the game. They're like, well, what am I even doing here? I'm spinning a wheel on an Ardian weapon that I don't even want to use.
I feel like one of those moments where I definitely felt like, oh, this was a significant challenge. The first time that I felt that where I was like, this was a significant challenge that we've overcome here, was Extremoth. Because Extremoth was no joke. Extremoth was like, no, you gotta like get. I drew from my MMO Raider brain from back in the day, coming up with strategies where it's like, okay, guys, Charybdis, those need to be at the end of the map. If you drop one in the middle, like the big problem, we're all gonna die. So don't do that. Drop Charybdis at the opposite end of the map, edges of the map only, and don't block the exit either. Because if you block the exit when we have to go through it, we're gonna be stuck in here.
You can try and risk it with Rocksteady, and hopefully you don't get too exploded. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
There's a lot of people. Oh, go ahead.
I was playing a build that I called the White Mage from Final Fantasy, which was the Sword and Shield with wide range and Mushroom Mancer. And basically what I told people was like, listen, you don't stop dealing damage, ever. You don't stop to heal. You don't stop for nothing. I heal. You just deal damage. So it's like 3 people constantly dishing out damage and me just like chugging potions nonstop. That was the thing. And then whenever we needed mounts, I could also get that because I'm playing Sword and Shield. Super easy to get mounts, Sword and Shield. It was more reliable to get mounts with Sword and Shield than it was with Insect Glaive, strangely enough. But, so I was doing monster control, I was doing healing, doing all of that stuff, and the rest of the people that would join the lobby were just like, okay, I'm just dishing damage. And we killed it like that quite a few times, and that felt like a significant achievement because, like, no, you can't even do this solo. I mean, at the time, you couldn't unless you were, like, God-tier player.
I know of maybe less than, like, 20 people that I know of had videos out there of, like, true high-rank gear-only extreme with kills. I never got it. I never put the time in, and it's kind of hard to do it now. Yeah. Oh, you should. You should at least do a solo behemoth.
I mean, no, I did solo behemoth. I've done that, but like solo
Extremoth is next level. Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, I tried it. Don't get me wrong, I tried it, but I was like, no, because the thing is also it's not fun. Because you're mostly just like sitting there, and the monster's like massive, and if
the babysitting the Carbidus is tough.
Yeah. It's annoying as hell. So I kind of like gave up on that, but I do know that some people did it. But that felt like a significant achievement, right? You're in there, you did the thing, and you get like the Hachen armor and all of that stuff. But I don't think that Capcom wants to exclude those type of cosmetic rewards from people. And I think
I think you're right. They don't want people to feel bad. They don't want people to go in feel like they want to earn something in game and then not able to get it. I get it. There's a lot of companies that have the same sort of design philosophy, but you are, and again, Wilds is one of the best selling. It is the best selling game of the year already.
The proof is in the pudding. Yeah, exactly.
There's enough people out there that like what they're doing that if you're old and you want to play the classic Monster Hunter, go play it because
go play the classics.
It's probably not going to be the further design choices of Wilds. So, I mean, let's give it one more shot. What do you think about AT Ray Dow? I'm assuming you fought him at least a little bit.
No, not at all. I was
not at all. You didn't even boot up the game. Oh, okay.
It was too hard. I couldn't do it. Of course I did. I made a guide for it.
Yeah. I don't watch any Monster Hunter content. I don't even watch my own. I just make it and I send it into the void and I go watch Slay the Spire.
No, but it's like my opinion on Arc Tempered Radao is that I feel like it was an adequate challenge. I didn't think that it was too easy. I've heard some people say that, it's way too easy. I do feel that the 13-minute timer is very generous. And I know that I'm gonna catch flack for that one, but I think it's generous because the thing is, some people have this misguided notion that I'm like a great player. I'm not. I've never said I was. People sometimes say, "Oh, Rurikhan's Monster Hunter veteran." It's like I'm not. Never played G rank before Monster Hunter World, so I'm not. I'm not that guy. And the interesting thing is, if I can do it, and I did it in like 9 minutes, although I put in some effort to get like 9.
Yeah, 9 minutes is not a bad time solo.
9:36 or something like that.
It's respectable.
So I put some effort to get that time, but if I was able to do it in that amount of time, I think that 13 minutes is generous for the reward, especially because you also get a reward with B tier. You also get a reward with C tier, and the B tier reward is somewhat comparable to the A tier reward. Obviously, A tier is probably going to be shiny and glowier than the B tier, but at the end of the day, it's cosmetics. I don't care that much about it. I wanted to do it just because I wanted to do it. I wanted to get a ranking on the hard thing because it's more challenging. But I think he's a ton of fun. I particularly like the fact that he challenges a lot of the things that a lot of people say that makes Gunlance easy because of the blocking. You can't counter.
Yeah,
as
the
much.
aftershocks. Yeah,
The aftershocks prevent
tough,
you from going into counters, but you can still kind of sit there and just keep blocking, and it's safe, sure, but it's not going to make you have a better time in terms of dealing with a monster. Because if you're not attacking, if you're sitting there blocking, you're wasting time. But yeah, I thought it was fun. What did you think about Arch-Tempered Radau?
Well, you just only because you brought it up. We were talking about there being exclusive rewards.
Yes.
The initial release of the Doshiguma Challenge Quest, it was only supposed to be the top 10,000 times.
Yeah.
That got that reward. And we all knew going into this, we're like, man, I wonder how they're going to separate out PC.
Exactly.
And there must have been somebody at Capcom that knew going into it, like, hey, we need a strategy. I could just imagine this guy at the meeting. He's like, guys, they're going to cheat. We have to do something. Everybody, it'll be fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah, about that. No, I mean there's still cheating times in Arch-Tempered Radau. I haven't been following up on the cheating situation all that.
Well,
much
it's not even that people did cheat, because if they caught the cheaters, banned them, and then reset the table, it'd be fine. It was, the original reward was supposed to be the top 10,000 times. Yeah. So a game that has sold 10 million copies. I mean, you had 0.1% or whatever of the population would have been able to get it. And they said, actually, no, now everyone can get it.
I don't even think I got that reward because I was like, whatever. What was that pendant? Was it any good? I don't even remember all that.
It looks pretty cool. It's like a Doshiguma with big flaming eyes.
Oh, damn. Now I kind of...
I mean, I'm okay at the game. I mean, people call me the Michael Jordan of Monster Hunter. I mean, I've ranked every time in the top 10,000. And I wouldn't say I've particularly grounded out or tried very hard. So, I don't know. I think maybe there is something to be said that the vast, vast, vast majority of people playing the game do want to go in, get their little thing, and then they want to get out. Because if I could get a good time within one day, it's not like a hotly contested top 10,000. Anyone that puts in a little bit of time to learn the monster, the weapon, and then play with somebody else and not compare themselves against cheaters will probably get ranked.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's going to be.
It's one of those things with the way that you are playing that if you just try to learn your weapon, you should be able to get good times in a lot of these things, and they're not going to cut you out or anything.
Well, I mean, again, the A rank everyone can get, but it's that at one point, there was this design decision, the top 10,000, and then they could not get a handle on the cheating. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you see people up there for more than 5 minutes that have 45 seconds solo. And it's there should be a intern or a fan, whatever, community somewhere that is reviewing this time. I'm not saying there needs to be VOD playbacks and everything, but would know that 45 seconds, if you were to use every attack possible, is just impossible. It can't be done. You're not going to kill Doshiguma in 45 seconds solo.
You should just know what is the most efficient combo for each of the weapons. And let's imagine Doshiguma doesn't move at all. And then just spam that most efficient combo.
But I'm just saying,
see how fast it goes.
I don't know why they've put so much work into making this system. I'm sure it took programmers months of effort, I would assume, to create these cross-platform leaderboards. And every time you go in, you go to check number 1, and it's some guy that's, 1 second, and he has every guild card achievement in the game with 20 hours on record.
The other thing is,
I don't understand it.
I don't understand why people even do that, though.
Well, I mean,
it's
don't
such
care. It's
such a weird.
They don't
thing.
care if they get banned. They think it's funny. They can take a screenshot, send it to their friends. Hey, check this out. Look, I'm number 1.
You want to know what would be funny? Because I'm pretty sure that publishers nowadays on Steam, they can just straight up revoke your key. And I'm assuming that's something that you can do on, Microsoft's platform and its Sony platform. It's hey, if you're caught cheating, we're just going to revoke your key and you can give us another 60 euros and then get banned again. And you can just keep buying the game and we can keep taking your keys away until you learn not to do it.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's another revenue source.
Well, I don't know if it's confirmed, but I thought I did hear some people were getting banned from multiplayer.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it needs to be the moderation of the board, even if it's whoever gets A rank. I feel like there should be some extra steps made to try and take down clearly fake times. Like if you're on there and you have one of the AI support hunters, I mean, come on. Top 10,000 with Olivia. I love Olivia. Don't get me wrong. One of the best characters in Monster Hunter ever, but she's not carrying that team.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Like, there's a reason why one of my most appreciated tips on the Arch-Tempered Radal video is like, oh, thank you so much for telling me how to get rid of the NPC hunter.
Right. Turn off the auto SOS. Yeah.
turn off the NPC hunter so that they don't like sandbag your hunt. Yeah. I mean, it's like, if it only took you a day to get like a good time. I remember the one time that I put that amount of effort into something was Alatreon. It took me like 13 hours to get an attempt that I was happy with.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, you know, Alatreon is one of the best design monsters in all of Monster Hunter history. I mean, specifically the Iceborne one, not necessarily the ones that came before or any ones that may come after. But that was the perfectly designed fight. Really, truly amazing to come out in a time that I think, you know, that was the beginning of Bovid. I mean, that was a tough time for development all over the world. So for them to create that within that period of time, to me is very impressive. And yeah, I mean, however long it takes you, I mean, there's still people that can't solo Alatreon. And Gunlance is not an easy weapon either. I'm not sure if you were using Gunlance or Sword and Shield or Insect Glaive.
I was using Slaplance.
Yeah, that's a harder one. It's definitely one of the harder ones. I mean, Gunlance does have a very high critical element modifier, but even then,
it's not one of the harder ones. I at least after I got some practice, it definitely didn't feel that way. As a matter of fact, it got to a point where, because I used to do these open lobbies for people. Okay, so you didn't kill Alatreon. Okay, join my lobby, and we'll get you your kill. That was like the whole point. And we'd be running multiple lobbies like this because, you know, a lot of people watch my videos. They'd know the guides, the strats, all that stuff. So everybody would be trying to run people through Alatreon. And one of the streams, I was like, okay, so listen, you don't even have to bring an elemental weapon. I will solo the threshold. So people were coming in with blasts, and that was where we got some of our fastest times because everybody was, because at the end of the day, despite the fact that this is an elemental fight, he still takes more damage from Raw, which is so stupid. It's so stupid. He still takes more damage from Raw.
It's genius.
He does.
No,
it's the
genius.
dumbest thing.
I disagree completely because you got to balance your own skill. The more Raw you have, you're probably going to have less element, which means you got to get better. It's pushing your limit. I think it's great.
Pushing my limit was like, I'm going to deal so much elemental damage and all you guys can just bring blast and beat the crap out of it.
Well, I mean, I've gotten clears. I think almost the hardest clear you can do is wrong element Alatreon. Me and one other guy would go in with fire weapons against fire Alatreon. And so you only have time during... That's a terrible idea. But you can still get the elemental topple when he's in dragon mode, even with the wrong element.
I mean, Cow Slayer still did the manly thing of like, I'm only shelling. I am shelling Alatreon.
You're not going to get a topple, but you'll be able to kill him before you die. I think. I guess you must have.
No, he died. Like he dies twice, and then he kills him. He's like, you're just making me stronger. Give me fortify. Yeah. Yeah. So he'll be in there just like shelling like a madman. And I'm just like, bro, just the patience of setting up the Wyvern Stake Blast to then long shell fire that thing to death. Cow Slayer is just built different, dude. He's just built different. So what about hunting simulations and some of the things that we've kind of lost along the way? Where do you land on that, on the hunting simulation side of things?
Do you mean like games like Wild Hearts and stuff like that?
No, I mean, I mean like in Wilds, the whole aspect of like tracking and,
right. So you don't have to gather tracks or anything like that.
You don't have to.
I like the way World did it, but if they are going to have 20 monsters on the map, could you imagine what it would look like if there were 20 sets of tracks all over the map? The game can barely run as it is. If they started dropping like mud and tracks and stuff like that, it could be tough.
I never even thought about that. That's an interesting one. I mean, it's not 20. I think the maximum I've seen is 8.
No, like 8 or 10, whatever it is. Yeah. But if there were 8 unique monsters on the map, all with their own different set of tracks, it'd be a visual nightmare if they all came to one area and left out.
A different tracking system or something like that.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't mind once you've got your research level up, grabbing one track to fully track something and know when it's capturable. Or just the way World did it, where if you hunted something enough, you didn't even need a track. You knew where they were, and then you picked up one track, and then you knew when they were in capture range. I think that's fine. I think that's a great balance. It's not what they went for. Rise more or less obliterated that with
the Kahoot.
loading into the map, you see everything immediately. And then once they're ready for capture, a little blue skull pops up.
Yeah, but I'm just like, where do you land on it personally? Like, what is your thoughts on that?
I think it adds to the game. I mean, everything that you remove for quality of life for another person was a fun little mini game. So, restocking removes your item pouch mini game. Getting rid of
restocking,
tracks.
I still think is one of the biggest ones. I will always defend it would be a better game with that. That's another thing that I wasn't allowed to do in my first playthrough is like after the begin quest, no restocking. And that was hilarious a lot of times because I went into a lot of quests with like 3 mega potions and nothing else.
Yeah. Oh, you got to spend some time in the map picking up potions.
Yeah,
the original design philosophy for Monster Hunter on the PlayStation 2, they called it like the cooking game because they thought one person in the party would be hanging out in camp, fishing and grilling meat and gathering potions and giving it to the other people that are actually killing the monster. It's just gone now. It doesn't exist. That concept of Monster Hunter is a design relic. For whatever reason, it's not something that the majority of players, Capcom feels, will find enjoyable. I like that. I like weird frictional aspects in this game. And I think it's another, God, I hate comparing it, but it's another reason why people like Souls game. There's weird frictional elements that you're like, just hit the goddamn guy or whatever, or, evade faster when I press my evade button rather than having to press and let go. Weird little things like that. Let go of your shield when you want to regain stamina. Yeah. All of those things go towards weird little annoyances that actually end up being a reasonable challenge once you feel like you've mastered them. And we don't really have that anymore. You load into your quest in a velvet lined stretch limousine. You can restock at any time. You know exactly where the monster is. You have the ability to just circle strafe around the monster now, and you could attack and then continue circle strafing with a lot of weapons. You don't have to worry about commitment. You don't have to feel any bad feelings when you're feeling Monster Hunter Wilds. It's nothing but good feelings all the time.
I mean, it almost sounds like you don't like it all that much. I thought it was going to be more positive.
So we were talking about AT Raidao. If every fight was as in-depth and as challenging as AT Raidao, I think I would be more okay. Yeah. Zoshia is another good example. It's just the monsters that are available to us with how powerful we are. There's a gap, Yes, if you fight Tempered Gormagal or Tempered Arkveld or any of these other guys we're talking about, you can take 2 to 3 hits and then you're going to die. Okay. In any other game, that would be amazing. But the ability to run away, restock, heal quickly, and then to not even take damage, Perfect Guard alone makes it so, other than Tempered Gormagala, like you don't even really take chip damage. The Perfect Guard is too perfect. The perfect evasions are too perfect. In a way, it almost feels a little bit like Rise, except rather than wire bugs, there's no cooldown. It's just perfect.
Oh, because of Sacred Recovery, that was another thing.
Not even the secret recovery, but that is a thing. But when you talked about how in Rise and Sunbreak you liked using the Perfect Guard on Gunlance, can you really, in your mind, separate how Perfect Guard on Gunlance in Rise and Sunbreak is from just tapping the R button in Wilds? I mean, it's very much the same, and there's no cooldown.
It wasn't Perfect Guard; it was Guard Reload.
Right. But similar.
I mean,
the absolute guard is
the thing about. There's a massive difference between blocking in Rise and Sunbreak and Wilds,
right?
Because blocking is much more snappy for the Gunlance and Wilds. Blocking in Wilds is almost as fast as like the Lance was, because the Lance was way faster to put up a block.
It's like you're countering with Lance.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it pretty much, it feels like at any point you would have been able to counter with Lance. You can initiate a Perfect Guard in Wilds. That's how it kind of feels to me. It's the same same sort of level. Which is why I was dogging on the guard slash on Sword and Shield. It's like, you can do that to reset your Perfect Guard. Or you just push the button and you're fine anyways.
It's unethical to do.
Yeah. So like, I like a lot of what Wilds did. Like I do I love the story, had a great story. I think the open world is okay. I think what you are presented for the first 100 hours of needing to gather without Nada funneling stuff into you, I think that's compelling. The game you described in the game that you played for whatever the first couple 100 hours, and the game a lot of us played up until the first couple 100 hours, first 100 hours at least, I think that's great. I think it's all of removing that friction. I think it just doesn't, and again, it's not fair to Capcom because I'm somebody that's played the game for 20 years. There's just not the challenge that there used to be.
I mean, it seems to me like if I remember correctly, because I did watch your review, you were very positive in the review, but it seems like
the first 100 hours is amazing. Look, that story is great. So you're lead up until
you're a story enjoyer like me, then.
Sure, of course, yeah. I think the Monster Hunter has a decent story in all of the games. Yes, a lot of times it's the big monster's going to kill us. Oh no! Oh wait, it was another monster the whole time.
It was another one.
I'm okay with that. Okay. We all watch sitcoms. They all have the same ending. It's fine. I'm okay with that. But I think the character moments in Wilds was great. I think a lot of weapons feel good. I think some weapons don't feel good. And I think focus mode is maybe a bit too powerful. You are not punished enough for using focus mode or perfect guard or perfect evasion. We just don't have the monsters yet that will punish that. AT Raidao is a step in the right direction. I mean, I'm not saying like Wilds is dead, bury it in the ground and then cremate the ground it was buried in. No, it's just where we are.
A lot of people are though. It's sometimes it gets frustrating because I'm streaming the game, and even earlier today I'm streaming the game. Someone comes in, it's like, oh, Capcom needs to drastically change this game, and I was like, okay, look, bro, it's not that bad. Like, chill.
You could give us the equivalent of AT for every monster in the game. Give us another level of craftable weapons. As insane as it sounds, another level of decorations that you can grind for again, potentially. And it would feel fine. I mean, the tier 2 monsters in that game are amazing. Like, Guardian Rathalos is so much fun. Guardian Doshiguma is fun.
I love
Ebony Odu, Fulgur.
I love that you brought Guardian Rathalos right at the top. He's like one of my favorite monsters of Monster Hunter Wilds. It's so much fun to fight.
They're great. You just don't have a compelling reason to fight them. Like, I think there's a lot of people that made the Rarity 6 Ardian weapons. There's definitely people that made the Rarity 8 Ardian weapons. How many people in the world do you think ever made a Ardian level 7 weapon and use it?
I've never even made a 6 or a 7.
Why do they exist? Why are they there? It's something that is confusing. So as Capcom works us through the title updates, I'm sure the older monsters are going to get reworked in. Of course, Mizu, his tempered version, is a little bit more integrated. We just need something. And I hope it isn't going to be until the Master Rank expansion to make it so that we're not just dumping Ardian parts into Gemma. But it might be. I mean, we have to come to peace that might be what it is.
Are you still streaming the game actively?
I streamed the challenge quest for AT Raidao. I'm waiting for Night Rain. I'm retired. I'll make some Night Rain content. I'll come out of retirement for that. No, I mean, you could stream it, but like, if there's not a new thing without that level of challenge, what value are you providing to an audience that wants you to play the game? And I'm not calling you out for saying you're streaming it, but what challenge can I show them other than I'm going through the motions to kill the monster to get a guaranteed reward that's going to go into something? I mean, it could be instead you're playing 4 Ultimate and you're being like, I'm going to fight this monster until I can make a new gun lance. That looks cool.
I usually don't go into it just for the challenge. It's more like, hey, we can all hang out, talk about Monster, and just banter, just chill.
Well, the banner's not fun right now. The banner is not a good time. That's what I mean. If you were to go in and play World or 4 Ultimate or even Generations Ultimate, you could put people in a better headspace. But the real crusty fans aren't going to be coming in like spouting sunshine and rainbows.
So it's like that's been your experience. Like whenever you're playing the game, people are coming in and just like not being super.
No. I mean, my community is pretty good. Like if there's a new event up, like they'll come in, we'll hunt the monster, we'll have a good time, we'll get whatever it is from the event at the time. But most people that I know, at least most people in my community, we've pretty much done everything there is to do. And you could spin your wheels in a game chasing down whatever last scraps of content there are to do, or you could play other games. I mean, you play Final Fantasy 14, the director for that game has famously said, if you're
not
done.
Anymore, I don't.
But he did famously say, he did say in between big content updates, unsubscribe and play something else. And I think that is a very healthy mindset to have for Wilds right now, as they're still ironing out performance issues, as they're still rolling out title updates to fix balancing issues for the weapons, as they roll out title updates to release new content that feels more compelling to play. I think, you know, you could feel okay there. And I think Capcom could feel okay. Again, one of the best-selling games ever. They did something right. It wasn't for, you know, the old people, but, you know, enough people bought it and played it and enjoyed it that it must have been okay.
It's like, I still greatly enjoy playing Wilds. So that's the thing. But
it's like, what percentage of your time is Gunlance?
What? I mean, most of it, even just today, my whole stream was Gunlance.
How many Wormstake blasts did you do?
I have no idea.
Every Wormstake blast could have been another 10 seconds of staring your child in the eyes, creating a real moment.
He's in school right now. What do you mean?
You could sleep while he's in school. But that's all I'm saying is like some of the weapons, if it were Sunbreak and you were perfecting aerial Gunlance, I'm Primordial Malzeno, I would get it because that is a hard fight and there's a lot of a challenge there. And again, for some of the fights, again, AT Raydao I think is okay. Gormagala is okay. Zosha is okay. Arkfeld is okay. Some of the guys are okay, but there's just not a lot of them. And then once you learn the tells and your times to get your full burst off with Gunlance, I feel like you're kind of okay. I feel like I've mastered it, you know?
Yeah, but I still like hunting the monsters. That's just it. I still enjoy going out there and killing monsters. I still want them to have like higher health and be more challenging, sure, but I still like the act of going up there and, you know, and I guess there's also a big portion of that, which is Gunlance is a weapon that's been extremely undertuned throughout a majority of
it feels powerful now. It feels almost too powerful now.
And now it's powerful and people are giving me shit for playing it. That's the other thing. People are like, oh man, yeah, no wonder you're always playing Gunlance. It's like, what the fuck do you mean? I played it when it was garbage. Like, what do you mean?
You play what you enjoy. I mean, yeah, if they saw the hundreds of hours you had playing base Rise, I mean, you deserve a pass for life. For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, so again, like, I know there's probably a lot of comments I said that come off overwhelmingly negative with Wilds. It's like Jono always says, if there's somebody that has a problem with something, it's because they care, right? I'm passionate. I'm a lover of all hunting games. And, you know, I even love Wilds. I've had a lot of great time with Wilds. It's just, you know, just a lot of little things that you hope get ironed out so that by the time we start playing it a whole lot more, hopefully in another 3 or 4 months, that experience is a little bit better. So, like, you know, I'm excited to see if Takuda is going to have another one of his live streams. His infamous.
I'm expecting one. Oh, yeah, I know it.
What do you say about my game? Huh? You're nothing but a worm. Sit in a corner. Don't talk to anyone. Live off of dust and any rainwater that might fall into your mouth.
The worst part is
he's right though.
He is one of the nicest guys.
Oh, he's so nice.
Like,
he's so nice. Guy. I got a hug from him once. I will take that with me forever. He has always been with me ever since then.
Man.
Yeah, so I hope we get a good live stream. You know, they're aware. I mean, look, it's one of their best-selling games ever. They're not going to abandon the game. It's not like it's not going to get any more updates, anything else like that. I'm sure
it's gonna continue to get updates. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just a little that last the 300 plus mark, which is like, can you imagine what did you even put 300 hours in Shadow of the Erdtree? I would imagine probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Between Elden Ring and Erdtree, I mean, maybe 100 hours.
I mean, between Erdtree and Elden Ring, that'll have way more actually, because I played that on PlayStation. I don't know how much I have on PlayStation, but even just on the PC version, do I have it up here?
But,
I do.
But for most people, if you get 300 hours in anything,
just in the PC version, I have 450 hours. It's not even counting the time on.
How does that compare to your Wilds time?
I mean, it's not fair because Wilds hasn't been out as long, but on Wilds I have 274.
You're getting to the threshold. You're approaching the 300 hour mark.
But that's the thing. I'm not I'm not gonna play it into a burnout. Like there were plenty of times,
and that's what it is. I don't want to get burned out on it, you know. And I definitely
I'm
with the gameplay loop
that
was in Sunbreak, I don't want to burn out on it because I still want to make good content about it that I enjoy and hopefully other people enjoy as well.
No, but I think that's smart to take a break. It's better than to become jaded about it. Absolutely, but I don't think I'm anywhere close to it because the thing is, I was interrupted a lot of times when I was supposed to be live streaming in the beginning, which was a major setback in terms of content creation. Because I even informed my family, listen, midway into February until end of March, I'm going to need like a clean window of no interruptions. And I kid you not, on the first live streaming day, all shit broke loose in my family. There was drama.
Isn't that how it always works, huh?
Like literally on the first stream, people could probably tell. They're like, something not right there. Because my head was just like in a completely different dimension. Because and since then, it's just been like little things happening all the time, and it's just been very, very frustrating. But that's the thing, right? So you were talking earlier about doing content that you think is important. So that is one of the things that I'm doing right now, which is I want to have a guide in the style that I do guides, like where I go through all the moves of the weapon and how I play a weapon and all of that stuff. I want to have one of those for each of the melee weapons. I don't do ranged weapons because I don't play those. I don't care. You can get better tips.
I'm mostly similar there. Modern range, I don't really mess around with too much.
Yeah. But so I want to have one of those. And it's like, does it make sense to do those guides now? Absolutely not. Nobody's looking for them. But I'm like, I still want to have them. So like I made the hammer.
You never know. 5 years from now, I mean, there's always, you know,
there might
stuff
be.
like that is somewhat evergreen. Now, the issue with it is they're already saying they're going to be changing motion values. And so wouldn't it feel bad to be the guy that put out the guide day one of Iceborne saying Perfect Rush is bad, and then final patch of Iceborne and Perfect Rush is the strongest move in the game? It feels a little weird, doesn't it? You need to put like updated guide, deprecated, do not check, click here.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I usually don't go too deep into like, oh, this is the mathematically. It's like, listen, here's how I play the weapon. This feels good playing it like this. Try it out, figure it out for yourself what works for you, and here's a couple of moves that you can kind of like complement with it.
I agree 100% with vibe-based hunting. You know, there is definitely a difference between more vibe-based hunting versus hunting for a speed run.
Yeah.
Right. With Switch Axe, like in particular, we could pick on Switch Axe. Full release slash was like one of the most powerful moves in the beta. And then for some reason, the feedback they got was buff full release slash. And it's not that every other move on Switch Axe is bad,
it's
but
just
like people get,
it's like Wyvern Steak Blast. Yeah.
People get heated about using Rapid Morph. And it's like, it's Switch Axe. Like Rapid Morph was designed for this weapon. Like, you know, the transformation chops are still pretty good, but there is a point to be made. It's still not full release slash. You're not spamming that move over and over again. So it's some weird times. I feel like, and I've said it before, I don't know if I've said it on this podcast yet. I do feel like Wilds was planned to be released later and it had to be moved up. I think it got delayed once when it really needed a lot more work. And then it got pushed out again earlier. So, you know, I don't know if that's true, but I feel like some of the things that we see here, we didn't see in Worlds because World maybe had more time in the testing period. I just don't feel like Wild had exactly the same. Like I remember about a year ago, I guess it would be about a year and a half ago at the Game Awards, the first trailer for Wilds was very bizarre. The character didn't have any facial animations. A lot of the models were very rough. The lighting is still, even with tweaks, is still a little bit off in the game.
You're talking about the very first trailer.
The Doshiguma chase and whatever that ended up being. Yeah. You know, it seemed like that was a press trailer, an early trailer that was given to the board. And then it was only like 14 months later, the game came out. I feel like there should have been a Resident Evil game that was planned to be released, and then maybe that game got pushed back. Obviously, we did get RE4 remake, but I feel like whatever the TikTok design is for Capcom, I feel like the release for Wilds, it would have really benefited from a little bit more time in development.
Do you think that is the reason why we didn't get the hub at launch?
It's very possible. I mean, it is a strange thing to be like, it was the same thing for Rise. Like, oh, by the way, here's the Elder Dragons. here's the actual ending to the game.
I mean, yeah,
Like, that's not a
Rise,
title update. That's releasing the game. It was the same in Wild. Same thing with Zosha. I think Zosha was done. Obviously, it was done. They held back Zosha to have content for title update 1.
Yeah, see,
but even
that's the thing. I think that a lot of the stuff that they were holding back, they were holding it back to have engagement throughout the cycle of the game.
both things could be true.
I don't think that, for instance, and this is something that people give me a lot of crap over, but I don't think that the hub wasn't ready. I think the hub was ready.
I think they wanted it as a celebration. I think they wanted people to enjoy running around in the villages before everybody coalesced in the hub. I agree with you there, because it is kind of fun loading into whatever area and seeing a couple people standing around versus the hub now. You don't really see that as often. You know.
Yeah, I think that was the overall idea, to have that launch experience be like that. And I know that a lot of people think that I'm defending Capcom. It's like, I'm not defending Capcom. I've criticized Capcom plenty when it comes to Wilds about a lot of different things.
I mean, I'll defend Capcom. I'm a stockholder. So, I mean, when they do well, I do well. 100%. Buy more Wilds. Buy yourself another copy and then buy your friends and family a copy.
But like the idea that the hub wasn't ready, I'm just like, I don't agree with it. I think that it was ready. They didn't want it to release it. They wanted engagement during the title updates and stuff like that.
They maybe needed testing for like the max player capacity, I would imagine. Maybe that was one of the last things, and they're trying to see like, what is the maximum number of people that we could squeeze in the hub before the Series S combusts into flames.
The friggin' multiplayer system is definitely something that I'm like, bro, what is this about?
Feels like a step backward, but
it's so bad. It's
what like, can you do?
Like, I remember the first time that I wanted to do like open lobby, and we were trying to figure out, okay, so how do we do a proper open lobby? And it's like, okay, so we can either go to a public lobby and take over it, essentially.
I think that's all you can do.
And I was like,
another way?
I don't want to do that, because like that seems wrong. Like, there might be 2 or 3 people having fun in a lobby, and then suddenly there's going to be like, friggin' 100 of us jumping in there, taking over. I think that's awesome. Lobby.
I mean, they can play solo online if they don't want the mobile Rurikhan party crew showing up. You're enriching their life.
I thought that felt kind of weird, going over to a public server and just taking over it. So now I'm like, okay, so can we make a private server? And then it's like, okay, private servers are limited to 10 people. And I was like, why? That sounds so incredibly weird. And it's like, okay, so I don't want to go to a public server. We can't do a private server. So then there's squad lobbies, and people are telling me, okay, so squad lobbies can go up to 50. And I was like, oh, okay.
Once you've maxed them out, you gotta
So that
multi-level marketing your way up. You need to fill out your ranks so you can sell enough like vacuum cleaners to get the full lobby.
I've done that twice, because when you have people join in the squad for one stream, the next stream, those people might not be there, and it might be a different group of people. So like, I'll delete the squad and I'll create a new one. But like the first time that I did that, I was like, oh, why does it only say 10 people? And then it fills us up to 10 people. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you've ranked up. Now we're going to disconnect everybody. And I was like, you're going to do what? We're going to disconnect everybody. And now there's 20 people. And I was like, wait, what? And then 20 people joined, like, hey, we're going to disconnect everybody again. I was like, what do you mean? Who designed this? This is a terrible idea. But it is one of those things that's kind of like, oh, streamer problems, because it is. Well, let's be real.
Most people aren't going to have that an issue. They're going to have their handful of friends they're going to play with. They're all going to join on Steam. They're all going to join a private lobby, and then that'll be fine. And that's fine. That is woe is us content creator issues. But it would be nice. It would be nice if squads went up to 1,000 people and the squad lobby was 100. But
yeah,
we don't have it, so it is what it is.
It would be nice to be able to like create like a lot of things for content creation, but that's just like first world problems or whatever. But yeah, the multiplayer system could do it some improvement, as well as the experiencing the story with your friends. That one's also a little bit weird. You tried?
See, I've never really done that. I did once try to do a full game speed run with somebody who had never done a full game speed run before, and that was painful in World. And I can only imagine. So let's talk about speed running Wilds, because that is something I used to do, right? I used to do full game speed runs of World.
Yeah.
Do you know why Wilds is quite possibly the worst full game speed run in the series?
Because of the walking and talking sections with Sacred, I would imagine.
It's bad, but that's not the worst reason.
Okay.
So what is the goal of each hunt?
Credits.
No, you got to kill the monster, right?
Oh no, I
For
thought you meant
each individual.
the goal.
No,
Of,
no. Of course, the goal is to get the credits, but you got to kill the monster.
Yeah.
There are sections of life where the monster gets stuck at like 70%.
Oh, I remember
so if
that.
You made...
that happened to me in the preview build. I think that happened to me in what's his face, the Chatacabra, because it's the preview build. I'm like, I'm in a rush. I gotta get this Chatacabra dead so that I can keep going. And I wailed on that Chatacabra like that.
Oh, you stun locked him, I'm sure, for like 20 minutes.
He didn't move. I was like, what's going on? My Chatacabra's bugged. Because he couldn't move. He couldn't like trigger whatever was the next step. He was just like glitch. It took me longer to kill that first Chatacabra than the Lalabarina. Lalabarina I killed in like, I still remember the time because I was so surprised it was that fast. It was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I killed that first, and it was the first time I fought Lalabarina. I was like, oh, that's strange. But I also had the Chemitrice gun lance, which is like the best early game
it's a good
gun
one.
lance.
Yeah, it's weak to fire. Anyways.
I didn't know. I was just like, oh, this gun lance looks so cool. I want to craft this one. So I crafted, and then I was like, oh, this is kind of busted. I didn't realize that.
So in base world and in Iceborne, although it's a little bit different, you can tell how much life a monster has by the number of pods they've dropped.
Yeah.
30, 20, and 10. So at around 25% health, they're ready for capture. Same thing in Iceborne. Rise, of course, it just tells you when they're ready. So like you're always being giving information how to capture them faster. But in Wilds, there's no Alma or whoever isn't saying he's taken enough damage. He's running to the next area. Like there's no real trigger of, have I done enough damage to get him to leave?
Oh, you mean during
Have I done
quests?
Too much damage to keep him stuck? And it's not just Chatacabra. It's like Kongalala. I think even Lalabarina. A lot of the fights in the game, the monster will get stuck at a certain amount of HP. You have to stop hitting them, and then they have to waddle off. And between the walking and the talking and the forced secret riding, I'm just not interested in it.
Damn.
Somebody else can do it if they want, but I'm not. It does not seem interesting. The challenge runs could be okay. But speed runs, I mean, it's just not it. It's not it for me right now.
I mean, yeah, I can imagine that. I was just thinking about the walking and talking sections because that's the
it's
thing
tough.
That a lot of
that part is tough, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is the monsters are doing the opposite of what you want them to do, which is to die. You want to kill the monsters, but they won't. They will stay immortal forever. The immortal Demon King Chatacabra.
Interesting. I thought that was like a bug when it happened to me with Chatacabra because Chatacabra is the only one I've seen that happen. So there's
it definitely works with Kongalala too, and then I'm sure there's a ton more. I don't have them all mapped out because once I learned that, I'm like, I'm good.
Damn, that is weird. But I mean, when you're making a game, especially like a Monster Hunter game, the story speedrun thing is kind of like a niche thing. I would imagine that they focus more on the speedrun of individual monsters, which
yeah, absolutely. But I mean. Niche. Obviously, I'm extremely biased, but I feel like for a long time, that was some of the only like really compelling content that was being put out there. And again, I know it's coming from me. Like I made it. I thought it was good, but that speedrun is pretty good in world. It could be better. There are track gathering segments and there's Zora segments and all that, but people really enjoyed it because especially once you get to that Elder Dragon Gauntlet and then Iceborne, there's more monsters in Iceborne alone than there is in low rank and high rank combined for the speedrun. There's a lot of combat. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of interesting things going on. So, you get to Rise. The speed run is an hour. If you go up the hub, it's 6 hours, but you got to go through all the rampage quests.
I'm going to need you to speed run Anomaly 300 real quick. I think that's the next
I mean, if it was the Earth on the line, could I do it? I'd probably die in the process, but I would try. But otherwise, I don't know. It'd have to be a lot of money. I'd have to get sponsored by Scuff gaming controllers. I know you said they're not sponsored, but they look so sponsored behind you right now.
It's funny because like on the thing that people have in my preview, they can't even see it. Like it's like a box.
Oh, okay. Well, now you got to show. Okay, well, only I can see it. Okay. Well, fair enough. I'm being marketed to specifically. I'm getting, hypnotized into buying another Scuff controller. I mean, I love my DualShock 4 with back paddles. I think it's the perfect controller. It will break every 6 months, but I just buy a warranty on it and I just replace it every year.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because even recently I had another controller that I was using, which was the 8-bit Dual Ultimate, and I was like, oh man,
sure,
this thing is amazing. I love it. And then 6 months in, the trigger died. And I was like, really? It's
I mean,
like
for me,
randomly
the B button died.
the right trigger just stopped working out of nowhere, and it's like this isn't even a button that I pressed that much. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going? It just randomly died. I was like,
This
oh,
this is our chance to channel Gaijin Hunter from the last podcast and just
Here we
work
go.
through all of our traumas in the past of hardware that has failed us. But yeah, I mean, it's you know, in a way, they don't want to make too good of a controller because then you won't need to buy another one again. So yeah, the sticks won't get drift, but then the B button will break or the trigger will break or something else. So
it's very controllers is very,
Yeah.
especially now in the current generation. I hate the analog stick technology. Even I thought that maybe like Hall effect sticks would do the thing, and it's like I don't even think Hall effects makes that much of a difference. Everybody's like, oh man,
I agree with you.
the Hall effect sticks are so good, and I was like, no, I've had 2 controllers with Hall effect sticks now. I don't notice that much of a difference. Usually, you want to know what's better is having good software that lets you set up a dead zone. That's what's good. You know, set up a goddamn dead zone on the analog stick. That'll fix most things.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Hall
I felt
effect
for the
sticks can't
marketing
fix
too. Like I really did believe like a Hall effect controller would be the holy grail, and I've bought in 3 or 4 of them, and they all break.
I'm curious, is your thing also the snapback? Snapback is what really gets me. I just want to
well, in World, if you're using hammer, I mean, it's atrocious. Like, you know, you're about to get the super pound and your character turns around, faces the camera, waves, and then super pounds at the camera rather than the monster. Yeah, as soon as it starts doing that, you gotta trade it in under warranty.
God, oh my God, I found somebody else that understands the snapback.
Of course,
you know,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Whenever I talk about snapback, you have no idea the amount of people that will go like, snapback? What the hell is he talking about? Snapback?
They're not gaming hard enough.
How are people not aware of what snapback is? Am I like an anomaly? Like, do I play games weird? What's going on? And so it's just surprising to find somebody else like, no, snapback. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so weird.
I mean, it's most noticeable with Hammer. I'm sure it's noticeable in plenty of other games, but Hammer in World especially, it can be really bad.
Rise Gunlance was the amount of times.
Was it really bad?
That I would like 180 and just like poke towards the camera. It was like, oh no.
You're setting up the reverse blast dash. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I turn towards the camera so that I blast dash away from the monster. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's very, very frustrating. So let's talk about the future of Wilds. Like, for your perfect game, what does Capcom need to do? Like, number one thing.
Well, you know, they are either this week, maybe it's tonight. Was it last night? Within the next week, they're supposedly releasing a new series of tempered 5-star monsters that are harder. They're not ATs, but we're going to be getting Arkveld and Gore and a bunch of other.
I think that's at the end of the month. That's at the end of the month.
Maybe it's another couple weeks.
The Capcom
maybe.
collab. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Capcom collab and the 8-star tempered Gormagala. Because right now we only have 7-star tempered Gormagala, which is strange because I'm like, why is Arkveld 8 stars?
And the others are 7.
Gormagala is 7 because Arkveld is so much easier than Gormagala. It's not even remotely close.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. Especially with all the beta kills we had. So, you know, base game wise, it's going to be very hard to motivate me to do a challenge run. Maybe after another couple months break, like when the honeymoon period is over with Night Rain.
What do you mean by a challenge run?
So, I mean, after speedrunning, you can only, like, a speed run is a type of challenge run, right? The challenge is, of course, time. But you have other challenge runs. You know, you've got cartless until fatalis, right? I've done, within the last year, I did cartless every game till credits. So I got to the credits in every game without carding once. That was a challenge. That was a cool challenge. You know, you have, you know, certain types of gear. You can do all sorts of things. Like you said, when you first did your Wilds playthrough, you set a number of restrictions. So you've got some form of restricted play that is going to make the game harder on you to hopefully balance out the difficulty in some way. So maybe after a little bit of a break, I could think of what is an interesting challenge I could do with Wilds that I feel like I will enjoy and will be entertaining for other people to watch. So that's its own bucket, because that's completely separate, more or less, of whatever Capcom's going to do, because I don't think that's going to change too much. Might tweak the weapons a little bit, but certainly low rank, or at least up until HR 41, I don't think it's going to change that much, right? Probably going to be the same. So maybe I come up with a challenge run there, not going to change. The other part of it is Wilds as its current multiplayer live service iteration. I mean, we've talked about it the whole podcast. We've talked about how interesting Extremeth was. You said you hated Cole, but you said you liked Safi.
I mean,
if I'm going to go
I hated
online,
the reward system of Kolv. I liked the fight, and I liked the siege quest, so to speak.
Whatever it is, I need to feel like there is some value I could provide to a stream, to a group of people that want to play, and then hopefully a larger group of people that want to watch. That will be interesting to do because we are overcoming a challenge that would otherwise be difficult for your average player. But what is it? What's it going to be? Because even when it comes down to challenge quests, I go in and I could help people get A ranks all night long, but it's not even that hard to do. So like that, is that compelling content? Yes, we're hunting something. Maybe we're getting materials, but it's not a challenge. Does that make sense? Like I want to feel like I'm able to show off some amount of skill expression to my viewers when I'm playing a Monster Hunter game. Now, the old Monster Hunter games, you don't need a challenge. Just playing something like Freedom Unite up until the end of the village credits is a challenge in and of itself because it's a hard game. DOS is a hard game. 3 Ultimate is definitely a hard game in G rank. All the games have decent amounts of challenge that we're used to. Even World, most people, if you put them in bare starter gear, so like not Guardian armor, but, quickly crafted gear, beating the Elder Gauntlet in base World is pretty hard. I mean, Nergigante can kill you in like 2 hits. So that's an interesting thing you do when you do challenge runs in World, because it's just a challenging game and it's got a wide depth in terms of the amount of mods you can install to make it harder as well, right? All red sharpness, constantly poisoned, constantly bleeding, stuff like that. Those are things you can do. I just don't know that in Wilds, we certainly don't have anything like that yet. I hope we do. I hope we do get something that challenges on the later end. And I thought, based on what they were saying about changes of a new type of arch-tempered monster, I genuinely thought, and I'm just wrong, they were going to update every tempered monster to arch-tempered, and then we were going to get another layer of craftable weapons.
I think that what they're doing is, and I think I forget if it's been confirmed or if it's just like the community's talked about it so much that it's almost like absorbed.
It's like osmosis. It's been burrowed into your brain.
Yeah, that we're getting arch-tempered all of the apexes. I'm fairly sure we're getting
yeah, that, that might take a year or longer. And then by the time we got 18 or Gigante, Iceborne was right around the corner. Could it save the game? Maybe. I make it sound like it's failed. Best-selling Capcom game,
the whole thing,
almost of all time.
Could it save the game? Is just like such. Yeah, I'm talking specifically for you. If it could save the game for you, for the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, so I need to be able to put on content that I think is interesting, because what I don't want to do is the equivalent of grinding AR levels in Sunbreak, where I'm using nearly maxed out gear, obliterating the monster.
It seems to me, what do you want is a siege.
I mean, it would be a step in the right direction. If it were a challenge, right? So I have to coordinate 16 to 100 people, and then a challenge within my own quest, but then also to get the other people to clear it, and then progression, because now we have new toys to tinker around with, whether it be weapons, armor, charms, whatever.
One of the things that I'm scared of in a system like that is due to the fact that the quests are maybe too rewarding when it comes to Wilds.
Yeah, right? I mean, like we're saying, like, with the investigations, you could just, I need the Mizu water gem. I'm going to find somebody that's got a Mizu water gem. And if I can't find one, I could rest for 5 minutes and find one guaranteed. I can get 4 guaranteed.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't like the rest system. I've told people, like, listen, rest system, I engage with it the least that I can.
Look, I resisted the temptation, but Gaijin did make that video on farming that fucking mushroom or whatever it is. And like, that's the worst thing you could do.
I didn't do that. When Gaijin came to my stream and he was talking about that stuff, and I was like, that is so incredibly degenerate. Why would you do that?
Don't do it.
Don't do that.
And I didn't do it, and it's still bad. So like, I can only imagine what it would have been like for somebody 100 hours in that had, all decos and all the arty and stuff. Then no disrespect. Obviously, it's good content for the people that want it, but I would not want to engage in that at all.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, but yeah, it's like I would like to have a siege as well. There's that theory that supposedly either the Ran or Gen Ran, that's the sound of the whale that we hear whenever it is plenty on the Windward Plains and you're in the training area. Have you heard about this?
I've spent dozens of hours in the training hall, but I can't ever say that I leave the audio on. But if they think Jen's coming back, great.
Like, imagine if that could be like a siege, right? Where you have like boats and people are going in, sand skiffs and stuff, and you're going in, you're doing like cannons, artillery things. That could be interesting, but I still don't know if that would be enough content for you, because I just kind of feel like the community as a whole has gotten into this habit, and when I say community, I'm not even talking about Monster Hunter community. I mean like gaming community as a whole has gotten into this habit of just like ravenously devouring games at the speed of light, and then moving on and saying this game's dead. And it's like, we're never going to reach a point where we're going to be able to developers are going to be able to develop enough content to keep somebody playing.
Right. Like, no, I mean, obviously, I mean, it was the same thing in Sunbreak as well. You get a title update. Somebody says, I can't play the game unless X monster's in the game. X monster releases, they play it for 5 hours, then it's over. What I'm looking for is to make a comparison, the Let Me Solo Her equivalent of Monster Hunter, right? So helping people clear the Extremith, helping people clear Elatria, helping people clear Fatalis, because that core mechanic of multiplayer and people struggling and needing help, I find that to be the most rewarding thing for me. The whole reason I bought a PlayStation 3 was to do ad hoc party, because I wanted help finding the monster on the map.
Yeah.
There were people that helped me find friggin' Chameleos, and I'm like, sorry, I'm using a poison weapon. And the guy in mic was so nice. He's like, it's okay. Any damage is good damage on the Chameleos.
What a nice guy.
What a nice guy. But I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy for someone else. And right now, I don't feel like I can be that guy, because as good as I am, can I even compete with the base kit cat?
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, I'm good, but that cat he's a monster.
It's one of those things where this is the reason why I haven't done a lot of multiplayer streams in Wild, is because I don't like streaming because like when we have streams, right, it's some of the most dedicated people that watch my videos who I really appreciate. But the fact that they watch my videos and they watch the guide and they play the game, probably
they're going to be pretty good.
They're going to be better than me. Like most of the people here's the strange thing, like they watch me, but most of the people that watch me, they play better than me. Like this just, every now and then, sure, I might play better than a couple of them, but like most of the people that watch me, they play better than me. And so I will go into a hunt and like, I barely have to do anything. Like I'll go in there, do like a couple of Wyvern Stake Full Blast combos or whatever. And the monster's just like crippled beyond belief, can't even move, just like stunned, staggered, paralyzed, all different types of ailments popping off. And I'm just sitting in there beating on him. There's nothing he can do. I mean, and then he dies, and then we carve him up. And it's like, and I'm talking like even 5 strength tempered Gore Magala might cart like the occasional person. Might even cart me, because for a while I was doing these things.
And he almost one-shots you anyways.
Yeah. And so like 5 strength tempered Gore Magala might catch us off guard, might cart a couple of people, might even fail the occasional quest. But beyond that, you're going in there, and if you have 3 other people that know what they're doing, they don't even have to be the best players. But if they know what they're doing, like this, the comparison that I've made is, it's not a hunt, it's a gathering quest. Right. Just going in there and collecting materials from the monster.
It's the same thing as eating a meal together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2 players with no cat is a little bit better. Yeah. Solo is obviously probably the best for skill expression. But if you want to do multiplayer, I feel like limit to 2 players, no cats is kind of okay. Because you want there to be risks, you want there to be tension. The people that you want, the most popular streamed content, the most popular streamed content for Monster Hunter is content that's challenging. Otherwise, in general, it's definitely challenging. What are the games that people like to watch the most? Fortnite, Call of Duty, Marvel Heroes game, Dead by Daylight. Those are all challenges because it's always a human against another human, and there's always going to be a variable sort of tension. How much skill expression can you show? And within Monster Hunter, you have to have a very difficult fight to be able to show off skill expression. Otherwise the monster's just dying. Like how tough is it to evade the roar? How tough is it to land the counter? How tough is it to know the exact timing to reverse backdash, to get the iframes, to do whatever it is? All of those things is why people want to watch the game. If it feels like, oh, I could kill the monster, it's not hard for me, why would somebody feel motivated to go out and watch content about a game that they themselves don't find challenging? You know, it'd be like you did Minesweeper, you got the clear, and you're like, I wonder what other people like at Minesweeper. Not saying Minesweeper's too easy, but it's just an example of a simple game that there's not going to be too much strategy to learn. I'm going to find out there's a whole club of like the Minesweeper stands are going to be like in the comms, like, fuck you! I play Minesweeper Max Bombs. I've been doing it my whole life.
This goddamn monster, the guy has no idea.
Latent psychic powers to know where to place these flags. Like, I'm not saying that, but you know, my view is when I'm trying to make content, and that's why I am, again, you know.
But it is a very content-driven view is the thing. Like, I get it, because obviously I'm a content creator as well. I get it. I'm just thinking, like, in terms of your average player, they probably don't think like that. That's the thing.
No, they probably played the game. They got to the credits. I mean, the average player, like the 50%, they played it. They got up to the credits.
They got to the credits.
They maybe got up to the first AR grind. Maybe they got to Arkfeld and they just stopped. They're like, I'm a badass. Fuck yeah, I killed Zoshia. And then they turn off the game. And like Capcom got 10 million copies. So like, good for them. Good for me. I have stocks. So
I mean... I don't know. I still think that Wilds is a fantastic game. I still think that at this point, I'm still thinking that Base World is still my favorite one.
Oh yeah.
Out of all of them. But I think that Wilds is right below it. Like, it's not like a massive gap between World and Wilds for me.
I mean, when I go back and think anything from World and earlier, I'd be happy to play it. I'd play it for months at a time and I wouldn't have any issue. Rise has its own set of issues that we don't have to get into, maybe in another podcast. And just for Wilds, it's just like, you know, the challenge just isn't there. It's not the same. In World, you know, I remember dying. You could still die against Tobi Kadachi, right? I think I saw you tweet it or something. It was you and a Tobi Kadachi in the woods. I don't know if that turned into a video or you were just like, check out what's next. Fucking Tobi Kadachi. I don't know, but he's a good fight.
That was me, because what ended up happening was a lot of people came from this other video and they were telling me, you're misremembering Base World. And I was like, okay, maybe I am. But the reality is, what we have now, like with its current patches, that's not Base World. Like, Base World doesn't fucking exist anymore. It just doesn't exist.
You have to mod it a lot.
Clagger, you have to mod out. You have all these things. No, you don't have to mod it. What you do is you go out and you buy a physical copy of Monster Hunter World.
Oh, I mean, I got one in my Xbox One X.
You put it on an unpatched PlayStation, and then you have Base World. And that's what I did. I went back and I played it, and it was because the thing that people were saying I was misremembering was Andronath. And I was like, no, the first Andronath kill, they were saying that, like, oh, because you've beaten Fatalis, you're going to go over to Andronath, you're going to beat his face unless you're sandbagging. And I was like, no, I got the shit beat out of me by Andronath. Like, I killed him, yes, killed him first try, sure. But the first kill actually took me like 18 minutes. And that was, he did move a lot. And I think I carded or whatever, and I got lost at one point. But, you know, so then I did a couple of more, and I think that the final one, the best one that I did was like 11 minutes. And that one was like, Rathalos just bullied him the whole time, so like bodied him, and after bodying him, nice. Stayed around and actually flamed him and kept attacking him, so he was distracted the whole time, and I was just like full bursting with complete impunity. That one was 11 minutes, and I also hit rocks and all of that stuff. But your average experience, even there was another one that I was like, okay, so this one, Rathalos was very aggressive. I don't think it's fair. Let's do another one. I still got the turf war. I still got the rocks. And it was like 13 minutes or something like that. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty much what I remember, except it took me longer back then because I didn't know how to play as well as I know now. But it's like, it's still what I remember. It's still, but the thing that surprised me the most was, like you were saying, Tobi Kadachi carded me twice, damn near killed me. And I ate for elemental resistance.
You need to get up to 20. But even then, it doesn't matter.
He just like beat my shit. I was like, what the fuck, Toby? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, you can almost one cycle him in a trap, but if you let him walk around, he hits very, very hard.
Oh yeah.
You know, they changed Anjanath's sleep resistance when they released Iceborne. Isn't that weird?
They changed a lot of things when they released Iceborne. Like, I feel like monsters just aren't nearly as aggressive with the Iceborne patch. Like, not even remotely close to.
I've never
actual
investigated
Iceborne.
that, but that would be an interesting thing to check to see if they did change something
I mean,
intentionally or no that changed how they target you.
Because
and attack you.
you just get claggers now, and the claggers are massive openings, even if you don't
Yeah.
use Clutch Claw, right? And the thing
Yeah.
is, even if you turn off, which is what I did for Returned World, even if you turn off the
Claw
what you
stagger.
call it, not Claw Stagger, you turn off the Iceborne DLC. Even if you turn that off,
Oh, they still claw stagger.
they
yeah.
still clagger.
You just
which
can't
is
use the clutch claw.
Yeah,
Which is bizarre.
It's such
bizarre.
a weird experience. Like, why would you clagger if I turn off Iceborne? It's dumb.
I agree. Only because there's a new audience that could hear it from me now. It's like, that is one of the strangest decisions they ever made. It is actively punishing you because people will see the game. They're like, wow, you're doing all these cool moves, but they just bought the base game off of Humble Bundle for $3. They don't have Iceborne. They're like, why can't I do the hammer spin attack? Hammer spin clutch claw attack. It's like, it's not in your game. You got to buy the DLCs, pay up.
It's a weird thing, but I have faith that they're going to deliver with some of these upcoming DLCs. I think things are going to improve significantly.
Well, I would like to be optimistic. As optimistic.
Damn.
I would be. I'm not super negative. I want to love the game. Like I said, I have stock. I really believe in it, but I feel intentionally or no, they get the more accessible and quality of life options they add to the game, the more the game sells. Now, is that because they've made it more accessible, or is it just because it's easier to buy the game on launch? Because World and Rise were both console exclusives for quite some time. This is the first true worldwide simultaneous launch between
I think
PC and everything else.
I think that's actually one of the biggest drivers, more so even than the quality of life and all of that stuff. But whether or not they can get away with less quality of life, I don't actually know. I constantly tell people that, like, listen, what I want is likely not what's best for the game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it too. Like, if you really want to make your perfect hunting game, I think at this point you just got to settle down and learn C++ or Unreal Engine or Godot or Unity and just build it yourself. And, you know, the market's opening. Dauntless is shutting down. So,
like the Expedition 33 guys, the Expedition 33 guys.
Was that their story? I know they came from Unreal. Were they like, we hate these games, we want to make a good game?
They came from Ubisoft. They came from Ubisoft.
What did I say? I meant to say Ubisoft. Yeah.
Yeah. That one of the guys was just like, oh, I have this brilliant idea for a game, and he realized that, like, getting this approved is going to take like 10 years, and any one of the people along the way can just shut this down instantly. So he left Ubisoft and made Expedition 33. It's like, that's it.
I think there's going to be an opening in the market for anyone so compelled to try and release another game, because Dauntless is dying. It'll be shut down maybe by the time this even comes out.
Did you get into Wild Hearts at all?
I mean, I got through all the main story content. I did most of the new DLC hunts with the new kimonos. I mean, I played it. It was okay. I don't love the Karikuri system. It was unique. It was novel, but I don't know that it was something that I loved overall. I think that the weapon mechanics on their own were actually fine. It was just the performance. It just feels terrible to play. It feels like I'm running around in mud. I mean, it just does. It just doesn't feel good. And like Monster Hunter, like, you're not moving freely, but you move with intention. And Wild, you're like, I don't know what this is, but that's how you move in Wild.
Yeah, in Wild Hearts. It was. I actually ended up rage quitting at the bird, the kimono bird, the raven thing, because of the hammer.
Was that the DLC one? That wasn't the DLC one. He was the poison one, right?
It was one of the DLCs. Yeah. It was one of the, this is going to be the extra.
The DLC hunts were hard.
Yeah.
The DLC hunts were hard. You don't have to feel bad about that. It was pretty tough.
The thing that was pissing me off was, like, which weapon did you play?
I mean, I played a lot. I probably played the Maul the most. I played the Maul and then the transforming weapon the most.
The Maul had that thing where you would have the Karakuri that would, like, zoom into the monster and then you do the aerial attack.
Yeah, it was a good attack.
That thing was super unreliable. Whether or not it would actually get the attack, it was just like random. Sometimes you'll cling on to the monster for no reason. Other times you'll do a regular jump instead of the jump that you need to do the attack. And I got so frustrated with it, especially because I had to swap weapons because I was playing the umbrella, the parry weapon.
Sure. Umbrella was fun too, yeah.
And because of the slow motion bug, whenever you had performance issues and they would go into slow motion, I was like, okay, so I can't time my parries anymore because, the game pacing just changes dynamically based on your performance, which is stupid. And because I can't do that, I guess I'll just play the Maul then. And then I started playing the Maul, and it was the inconsistency of that Karakuri, and I was like, fuck this. If this thing doesn't work next time, I'm uninstalling the game. And then I do the thing, doesn't work, and I instantly rage quit in the stream. I think that's the only time I ever rage quit a game. I was like, I'm done. But Wild Hearts had potential. The only thing that sucked was the meal system that they had was stupid.
Meal system was a little bit, maybe they went a little too hard with the meal system. I shouldn't have to ferment apples and then cook them again. I mean, what are they doing? I'm like, you're littering your beginning zones with like 20 item producing things. And then like, why is my game slow? Well, you need it because you need to cook.
I still remember people telling me, actually, it's not that hard, Rurikhan. You're overcomplicating it. All you have to do is smoke it and then pickle it and then cook it and then, put it in the jar to become like whatever, fermented or whatever. And then you smoke it again. And I was like, oh, and that's not complicated? Oh, it's a good thing. For a second there, man, I thought it was kind of weird, but no.
If they let you like assembly line it and then you had like the little kimono guys like dragging it along.
Like Factorio.
That would maybe be okay. Factorio, Minecraft, something like that, yeah. Yeah, it would be okay.
Have an assembly line. You put the fish on one end, comes out the meal you want on the other. Yeah, that'd be fine. So, but no, it was weird.
Wild Hearts was okay, but
I thought it was cool. Yeah.
With Monster Hunter being this popular, I mean, it's definitely selling copies. I am continually shocked because we get so many Souls clones. I just played and beat AI Limit, and that's a pretty good one. I could like that one. Very small studio out of China made that one, and I think it's only like $20. Really love that game. Could definitely recommend that game. But you almost never see a hunting clone. Like they almost never exist. Yeah. The closest thing I could think of was not Tim Schafer. The guy that made not Neversoft. Fuck. Psychonauts guy.
Yeah, it is Tim Schafer.
All right, that is Tim Schafer. Okay. They made like a game that was
I remember
gladiator combat. And like fans pestered them for years to be like, please just release the game. They wouldn't do it. They didn't want to make it.
We don't care.
Like, no, we made this in one of our game jams, and that's it. But I think there's a demand. There's a demand for engaging, cooperative multiplayer games, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. That's why, again, I've said it for like the 5th time. I'm really looking forward to Night Rain because that's a thing. It's literally built for streamers for you to carry other people. If you get really good at that game, you could take somebody, wrap them up in a little baby blanket, swaddle them around your chest, and get them through the end of the game. And that'll be fun for you and everyone involved. And I think that's great. I really love it.
It's funny hearing you talk because it just reinforces something that people told me about MOBAs all the time, which is, I don't know if you know about Heroes of the Storm. It was a
Sure, I played it before.
MOBA. Yeah. So
I mean, it's in like a weird development state. I mean, it's like in permanent static, but you could still play it, I guess, right?
Yeah, but it's like when I played that game, I used to tell people I like this one better than League of Legends. And because in this game, you can just focus on team fights and it's all about the team fights. And people kept telling me, yeah, but it sucks because I can't carry.
Right.
And now listening to you, it's like, oh, you're one of those guys. You just want to carry. I get it. That's cool.
I mean, like, I want to get good at something and then show off. I mean, it's not like my entire attitude, but you know, you spend a lot of time getting good at something and you want people to take a look at it, give you a little thumbs up, say, thanks, man. Good show. You did all right. And video games, of course, they're all for fun. It's all make believe, but you are an active participant. I mean, people get the same way about their own sports teams and they're not even playing.
True.
Like my team can beat your team. It's like, well, hey, now you have a chance to actually go in there and show what you're made of, and the years of practice in other games and your own practice within the individual game and your own physical state, your own mental state, that all goes into it, into putting on, a good performance for the people that either want to play you or watch you or play with you, whatever it is. I like that. That's just what I get out of it.
I'm actually really excited about Night Rain as well because it is one of the first From Software games that's built from the ground up specifically for co-op, which is something that I've always wanted. I've always said I want a From Software game that's specifically built for co-op because nowadays, like, sure, you can play Elden Ring co-op, but everybody's going to be like, well, but the monsters aren't really designed to handle it or whatever.
Well, and it's a little scary because, you can do that in Elden Ring, but it involves disabling the copy protection, and if you screw it up, you can get yourself
for
banned.
for seamless co-op.
For seamless co-op, and like I wouldn't want to risk that. I'm too much of a baby. I would be emotionally devastated if my account got banned. So I wouldn't be able to handle that. But from Night Rain, it's built from the ground up to do that.
Yeah,
so.
it's built from the ground up, and I think that one's gonna be fun. Did you play the network test at all?
I did. Yeah. On the PS5 of all places was where they put it. Probably so people couldn't data mine it. I had a great time. It really is. It was a ton of fun, and it was funny because it was released like only a couple weeks after Wilds had released. But it's like all I could think about was playing like, when's the next test going to come up? Like, what bizarre ass time do I have to wake up to play this game? So, I'm known mostly for Monster Hunter, but I was just as passionate about playing Kingsfield and Demon Souls when those launched as well. I love those games as much. I love slow, methodical, challenging combat. The more you speed it up, the less challenging you make it. It's like,
The word slow and methodical is something that exits my mouth like so freaking often. Dude.
Yeah.
It's so funny seeing somebody else say it.
And it doesn't have to be like, the game has to run in slow motion like Wilds. It's like you have to commit to your actions.
I think that
have a commitment.
Night Rain actually is one of the fastest versions that you could have of Elden Ring, though.
It is. It's definitely, it feels like it's a little bit unfast forward, but it still has,
My opinions video on that actually says Elden Ring for Zoomers.
I don't know. How much do Zoomers, I guess Zoomers probably do play a decent amount of PC games, but my understanding is more and more people are just playing games on touchscreens, and that's where it's going to go.
On mobile phones, yeah.
Monster Hunter Outlanders, pretty soon people are like, you play with a controller? You boomer.
Are you going to play Monster Hunter Outlanders? I'm going to get into that for sure.
I'll try it. I live in the middle of nowhere, so I really can't play now. I can't engage in the core mechanic of it.
No, but no. That's
the
Monster
walking
Hunter.
one. But when Outlanders comes out, sure. I'll give it a shot. I
want to give it a shot. Like I don't know. For some reason, I have a good feeling about that one, but at the same time, it could just turn out to be like the usual mobile slop. So who knows?
Well, hold on. I don't know that I have a good feeling about it, but I will give it a shot.
No. I'm just saying.
Can I get some more frames? It was like it's tough.
Yeah.
The trailer they showed was tough,
and all of that stuff. What I'm saying is, the stuff that they were showing in terms of like the potential of it being a fun game.
But how much, what do we even know? Did I miss a video? Like, I don't know anything. We hunt monsters.
No, we don't know. We just know that you're going to hunt monsters, and it's going to be like the maps that you've seen. And there's like those contraptions that you've seen that have like, some artillery shenanigans going on. I don't know. For some reason, I saw the gameplay, and sometimes I just get good feelings. It's not always right. Okay. I have a lot of misses with this stuff. It's just, I tend to be an eternal optimist. It is what it is.
I hope it's good because live service, especially literally made for mobile games, are
it's like they're
normally they're updated all the time.
My expectation is like it's going to be pay to win, and I'm going to hate it.
Of course. There's going to be. That's how all those models work.
There's like a tiny slither of me that's going like, maybe it's not, maybe this time, but I don't know.
Well, Genshin Impact is like 100% pay to win. But again, we're talking about solo / cooperative games.
Yeah.
You could fall in all different places in it. In the United States, at least, maybe worldwide, they now have to show the actual monetary price whenever you try to pull for a 5-star. I guess it's something like $180 to $220, and it's like in your face. That's how much it costs. That's crazy, man. Just seeing it in your face, like we calculated it, like you're going to spend $200 if you want the 5-star.
I played Diablo Immortal, and it's because I'm a huge Diablo fan. So I was like, okay, I'll play Diablo Immortal just so that I can shit all over it and tell you exactly what's wrong with it. And I've dedicated 40 hours of my life into that venture. And immediately after I did my review video, I deleted the character. I was like, I'm never touching this piece of garbage ever again. You sons of bitches. Yeah. It's a piece of hot garbage. Keep that thing away from me.
At least those, I guess they call them action RPGs, are doing okay. Path of Exile 2 is okay. I know people hate the latest patch, but Last Epoch is okay.
Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2
it's okay. I think that is yet another game that could benefit from a style meter, because the whole concept is combo your skills, but the inclination of most action RPG fans is we want to use one button.
We want to use one button and win.
Don't take away my one button. But my thing is let people use one button, but greatly incentivize using multiple buttons. They just haven't leaned enough into that. But I don't know. We'll see. They know way more about design on that than I do.
We'll see about that stuff. But anyways, we've been rattling off for 2.5 hours. Big, solid Monster Hunter Wilds discussion. Guys, there's going to be links to Shepard's stream on the description. What are you going to be working on next? I know you're excited for Night Rain. What else are you working on while you're filming?
Yeah, I mean, we've got 2 weeks to Night Rain. I mean, we just kind of put the cap on Half Sword, which that could be an entire subject in and of itself. That's challenging, punishing combat. If you haven't checked out Half Sword, check out Half Sword. No. It is well, I wouldn't call it accurate, but it strives to be a realistic physical simulator of medieval combat.
I think I know what that is. And you start with like a knife or whatever, then you kill stuff, then you pick up
I mean,
stuff
you start
off the
really
ground.
with your fists, and then you go up the ranks, and you get better and better weapons until you get to a final challenge. Then when you die, there's like a run through hell. You can try and save yourself and stuff like that. So that's great. No, I'm not going to say anything major. I mean, once Night Rain comes out, I'll do stuff there. Obviously, when there's new major interesting things in Wilds, I'll make some content there. I've been thinking about going back and making content in even some of the older Monster Hunter games. I want to challenge some notions for some meta choices in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the 10 people that still care about that. But
make me like a solid Gunlance build. Like I want a solid shelling Gunlance build. And you're like, no, can't do that.
No, I mean, of course you can do that. I mean, Valor Gunlance is very fun. Is it the best?
Shelling? No, it's terrible.
Sure. It's okay with Valor.
No, it's not.
I wrote an entire essay on Valor Gunlance. I never published a video or anything like that, but you get increasing scaling multipliers per shell during your Valor rapid fire, as well as the full burst. And then it really all comes down to just being able to fully reload your shells all the time. That's what makes anti-aerial flare a pretty interesting choice on Valor, because it allows you to reload so much quicker. Now, some may say whatever it is, Wyvern's Breath that scales your shelling up higher is a better skill, but anti-aerial flare is just so much fun.
It is. Anti-aerial flare is one of the
most
fun.
I killed Event Crimson Fatalis, G-Rank Event Crimson Fatalis in Generations Ultimate with Valor Gunlance, basically shelling only. If you can do that, you can kill anything else in the game.
Wait. Now I need to go back and work on a Valor shelling Gunlance build, because like I've tried that and I wasn't able to make it work. Like that's why I just relegated to the role of like, listen, I'll get my 2 friends and I'm like support guy with Alchemy Gunlance doing funny things, and just like that was
you can do Alchemy Gunlance. I mean, Alchemy Gunlance is still fine. Again, you could still do those other things, but the way Valor shelling works,
I don't think you're soloing stuff with Valor Gunlance.
You are. I did.
Like,
I killed the monster.
Not Valor, I'm sorry. I meant Alchemy. Alchemy.
You could do that too. Probably. If Valor can do it, Alchemy can do it, because the issue with Valor Gunlance,
the 2 Raging Brachydios quest that I needed to do for something, I timed it out.
Yeah.
The whole 50 minutes of it. Okay.
Well, you just need to do more. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm just saying you could probably get better. I think maybe an ideal number would be 2 hunting hearts at least, but 3 hunting hearts certainly wouldn't hurt. You would want anti-aerial flare, the skill that buffs your shelling, and then I don't know what the third one would be. But those 2 are the ones that are most in contention on Valor, and it's full bursts get bonus damage, the rapid shelling gets extra damage. Obviously, being able to get a Valor quick reload into a full burst is still good damage. There's a lot of good choices on Gunlance. And like I said, if I could kill Event G-Rank Crimson with shelling, almost entirely shelling, obviously you're going to poke a little bit every now and then.
Yeah.
You can do any quest in the game. I mean, could you do EXs?
Yeah, that's
would you want to do EXs? I don't know. Would you want to do Hyper Silver Rathalos with only shelling? I think Kanta did it and it took him like 40 minutes.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's what I'm talking.
Yeah, maybe I'm talking myself out of it.
I'm nowhere close to the Kanta's level of skill. Forget about that shit.
Yeah, well, I don't know that he would say it's mostly patience. I'm not saying there's not skill, but it's mostly
but
that's
the
patience.
Thing. Like once you get going after a while, like you start making mistakes. Like I think that past the 20-minute mark, because that's an interesting thing as well. When people are like, oh, if you just increase the health pool, does the monster really get harder? It's like, well, yeah, if you have to fight him for longer, technically
Yeah,
speaking,
it wears
you're
on you
gonna-
more. It
it
requires
wears
more
on you, and
perfect play.
you're gonna start making mistakes. So yeah, but
We're gonna get into a whole another podcast if you don't.
yeah, exactly. If we keep going,
So
But,
we'll see. We'll see.
I was
Definitely
asking
Night Rain. Before then, I don't know. Maybe.
So you're still figuring out what you're doing before that. All right.
And,
Well,
I mean, I've got a couple game reviews that should be coming out relatively soon. Obviously, I can't say which ones they are, but there should be one within 24 hours of this recording, and then maybe another one next week.
So by the time this recording goes live, it's probably going to be on his YouTube channel, which I will link in the description below as well. You guys should check that out. But for now, that's going to be it. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, thanks for having me. It was a great talk. It was a long talk. I mean, there goes our afternoons. My afternoon, hopefully your evening. It's Jesus. You were supposed to go home and be a family man.
No, not today. Daddy's got to go kill some demons in Doom Dark Ages, because that's a shooter with a shield, and I like shields, so that's fun. But yeah,
sounds good. Thank you so much.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for joining me, and everybody stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.